So Euclid is a fantasy model. Bev is model afflicted.
Well, it's wrong.
Wait, Euclid is a fantasy. Have you read the book? It's called Euclid's Elements. That's really good. You should give it a look.
Well, it's
over.
wrong.
Yeah, well, probably one of the most perfect books ever wrote.
Well, it's
Mathematical
wrong.
as well.
Well, it's wrong.
What, Euclid's
Isn't it?
Euclid's Elements are wrong?
No, it's wrong, isn't it?
I don't know. You say it's wrong. Like you've
Well,
just
on
said
a
it
surface-
three or four times there. But how
Yeah.
is it wrong? You just saying that Euclid's Elements is wrong. Euclidean geometry
Yeah.
is wrong, Brenda.
Right.
This is getting old, Brenda. I mean, come on, you've got to do better than that. You're not going to sell many globes talking like that.
It's wrong.
Yep.
It's wrong because in the presence of gravity, space is non-Euclidean.
Hyperbolic geometry is not the same, right, as reality.
Okay, well, that's good.
However,
You did say it was in reality, though. So where would you find that?
It's a better description of reality than
Well,
Euclid.
it's wrong.
It's better.
What?
Do you have like the book on hyperbolic geometry with the author's name and all the definitions and axioms and all, or do you just
Should
add
be
it on as book 16 to Euclid? Like, what's going on?
Well, it's wrong.
so general relativity. So Euclid is a fantasy. So Euclid is a fantasy. Bev is model afflicted.
Wait, Euclid is a fantasy. Have you read the book? It's called Euclid's Elements. That's really good. You should give it a look over.
Well, it's wrong.
So Euclid is a fantasy model.
That's child
Please
abuse.
don't be model afflicted like Brenda.
That's child abuse.
Bev,
That's child abuse.
you are model afflicted.
Euclid is fantasy,
That's child abuse.
but space-time geometry is real. Wow, Brenda, you outdid yourself.
I have in my imagination land, try to focus. Right. If I use Euclidean geometry
That's child
to
abuse.
describe reality, I have in my imagination land, which is real.
It's inherent in nature.
Well, it's wrong.
It's not my problem that you don't want to learn. You just on
I don't understand the doublespeak. I don't understand the contradictions.
I'm not sure that I would call myself a dilethiist. I don't understand diletheism because that's what logic is.
Yeah.
Absolutely foundational, right?
And there are different logics with different axioms. Well, it's in my imagination, so I can just bend it in my imagination. I'm not sure that I would call myself a diletheist. I don't understand diletheism. Well, it's in my imagination, so I can just bend it in my imagination.
Can you explain to us why they disagree?
That's child abuse. That's child
Because
abuse.
it turns out I can just bend it in my imagination. Space-time is non-Euclidean.
Well, it's wrong.
Euclidean.
Yeah.
One of Kant's
don't understand.
well-known mistakes.
It's not my problem that you don't want to learn. You just on your own.
Well, if the current,
Pardon?
so if the plane is saddle-shaped, and so I
Plane?
just bend it in my imagination. If the plane if you bend it, make it saddle-shaped, then
It's not a plane then, Brenda.
You think things are doublespeak, but that's because you don't understand. Well, if the plane is
wanna-
curved, so I can
Pardon?
just bend it in my imagination. If the plane is saddle-shaped,
Plane?
then that's if the plane is if you bend it, make it saddle-shaped, then
It's not a plane then, Brenda.
Yeah, that
This
wasn't.
is getting old, Brenda. I mean, come on, you've got to do better than that. You're not going to sell many globes talking like that.
So I can just bend
on.
it in my imagination. It's obvious to
Up your
everybody.
game, Brenda.
No, I have.
You're meant to be an expert at this. Aren't you? Aren't you one of the best?
No, so I can just bend it in my imagination. Well-known mistakes.
Well, it's wrong.
I just understand.
It's wrong.
It's not my problem that you don't want to learn. You just
It's inherent in nature.
It's a description.
That's a quote. That's a
That's
quote.
what it is. They need Euclidean geometry to do all their stolen concept shit.
no reason, no logic, no wisdom, no worry.
As a front.
You're just on your own.
But in the back, they're doing their magic globe shit.
No logic, no answers to question.
Their magic globe shit.
You're just on your own.
Yes, that's what logic is.
Yeah, absolutely foundational, right?
And there are different logics with different accents.
Reality, yeah.
It's inherent in nature. That's a quote.
Transcendental, relating to the spiritual realm.
You read the second one, that's interesting. Very-
Kantian philosophy. You like it. Presupposing necessary to experience a priori. Can we say that? Is that a better way of saying it? A priori.
Well, Immanuel Kant introduced that kind of language. Well, actually, people have been talking about it before that, but he was the big man in the block.
The old block.
Come to find out that quote that I just
It's inherent in nature.
Oh, was it?
yeah.
No way. Kant said that Euclidean geometry was what's that?
It's inherent in nature.
Inherent in nature, yeah.
Well, it's wrong.
That's
Many people seem to quote Kant or whatever to saying that reality is obviously and clearly Euclidean.
Yeah.
That's child abuse. That's child abuse.
One of Kant's well-known mistakes.
Because I do actually teach my son geometry. So when you say we,
Yeah, that's child abuse. That's child abuse.
what, teaching my child geometry?
Whatever. Yeah.
And we are live. Welcome everyone. Not heard that one for quite a bit. It's Euclid night. It's been quite a while since we've done this. That was a good one to go over. That I remember that one. Kant said that Euclidean geometry is inherent in nature, and today we're going to be going over double rodding, an operation done in reality that's the blight of anybody that wants to hold a model to be true. This is the tough one for anybody to imagine. So I would imagine there's not going to be many people watching this one tonight. So count this as exclusive material. Tomorrow we'll be going over a video. Having a bit of fun tomorrow. Hopefully. And of course we're going over the Hillsdale philosophy course. Thanks for joining us. So tonight, everybody's hiding. All right, paper. Today, what we're going to be going over is Euclidean geometry, but a practical use of Euclidean geometry in reality. I think I've gone over this a few times with a few people. It's based upon a real life thing that you can do, and you'll have to imagine this because I'm going to have to do the graphics and all of that as to explain this, but as a realizing Euclid sort of thing as well. So you set up an auto level, or water level, doesn't really matter. Auto level is probably the better one to sort out with. You level it, right? Obviously, get it sorted so it establishes a horizontal plane. And then you sight to a measuring rod. Anybody who's seen what we do and how we do it, you can see pictures of this. Well, what you do is you sight to 2 measuring rods. And then when you move your level, you sight back to 2 measuring rods, and then you sight forward to 2 measuring rods. And if you can imagine this, the line that's shared in between the 2 measuring rods is a shared straight line segment, and it sort of goes to help show the horizontal line is a horizontal line. Now, that's a practice done in reality. You can work it over in your own head, however you want to go over it, right? You can obviously see the problems that are there, but in order for you to find problems, you have to inject a model into it. Depending on whether you do or you don't inject the model into it, will give you a determined outcome. I would state, for you to inject the model into this, then you're going to be throwing up contradictions. You have to. So for that reason, I would say what we're talking about here, double rodding, only happens in a Euclidean reality with horizontals being parallel. But that's up to everybody else to decide for themselves. You can't push this on anybody, and you can't make anybody go through the thought process. But what we're going to go over tonight is George Nutsack, God rest his soul, was the only surviving member of the fake surveyors. At least George admitted to not being a surveyor, but he did attempt to be the mathematician and to attempt to solve this. Now, of all of the things that we've gone over with differential leveling, you saw that one on Monday, was it? George attempting differential leveling. Well, that throwed up the problems, the obvious problems, that the horizontals weren't parallel. And as we were talking about George, and there are other people, Darren, he's left. They're all of the guys that you will see that aren't going to come and watch this anymore. We don't really have the hate watchers. The numbers have dropped because the hate watchers can't stand to see this. They're going to have to pretend this video doesn't exist. Try and not let people watch it. The next step from seeing the horizontals that are all wonky and intersecting is to show them the double rodding thing, which is a operation that you'll probably struggle finding this on the internet, because this is what happens. Things are getting scrubbed. Let's say book burning, modern day book burning, just making stuff disappear, changing stuff, changing the ideas, the concepts of people, having pictures to show you and place curves in your mind. Well, this double rodding is all about a shared straight line segment to prove. Well, it's just to see how these sort of things are done in reality, right? And I'll get the thing ready for you guys. Good day, anybody? Has anybody got any other? I think this video is only an hour and 21 minutes, but it does come with a few pictures. Let me get it for you guys. This is on the Globe Model Dictates playlist. It's been there for quite a while. I don't know how many people watch. I think this is perhaps this is what was responsible for the final nut sacking. Now, we have this thing called the nut sack, and George gave us the nutsack drop. Now that is the presumed drop of the water level from horizontal over distance, as opposed to the hump which Jesse Kozlowski drew for Lake Pontchartrain. These are two different theoretical models that dogmatic globe earth believers have to take on, both the drop and the hump. It makes horizontals not have an ability of being parallel. Well, in reality, we have this surveying method called differential leveling. And the way to double up on accuracy for differential leveling, so you notice any mistakes as you're going along, is this particular method called double rodding, where you place 2 rods in the middle before your turns on the transitions. It would be better with some diagrams and that, but I'm saving that for April. All right, you guys, can you guys see that? 3 of you in here.
Sure, I can
Right.
see.
Okay.
Black screen, but still.
Yeah, there you go. Is that better?
Yep.
Let me center this before I move it over. Okay. Right. Okay, now this is a video I did for a bit ago. This is, I would say, an impossible task to hand this to anybody that imagines themselves as a globe geometrist. This is one of the things that people have tried to keep hidden, because it's geometry and it's mathematical and it has a logical process to go through it, and it is performed in reality. All of these things are like garlic to a vampire for the globers, and that's why we've been left alone. Probably why there's going to be not many people listening. And just to know, let you know, right, this doesn't prove anything. It's just a process that goes on in reality that people do. Okay, here we go. You don't care about level being horizontal. That's not an issue. But we are definitely on a curved earth. Like, level is curved, you're saying, right?
Yes, it is.
Right, there you go. So you don't care about one, but you do care about the other. That's
No,
what you're
I'm saying I'm saying we're not going over that scenario right now. We're going over the scenario of a curved earth and the fact that level is following the curved earth. The surface of water is curved on the curved earth. That's the scenario we're going with. That's what you have to understand in order so we can get through to show you the errors you're making and why your conclusions are wrong and why the method you're using is not going to detect the earth curvature, because you don't have enough resolution in your auto level and your range poles to detect the earth curvature in the double rod differential leveling scheme. It's impossible with the equipment you're using to detect the curved earth. Curved level surface on the earth. This is the surface of water, okay? Now, we have our auto level sitting there and we're shooting a horizontal line out. So, on the curved earth, everything looks like it's falling away from the auto level. That is the consequence of being on a curved earth.
I got your numbers right here.
Horizontal.
It's just as easy.
Oh, shut up.
1, 2, 3. You have to open your mind.
True horizontal.
Imagination is all you need.
Oh, shut up.
Don't take advice from
To understand how the curved earth
everything
works.
that they say is in vain. Never take advice from fools.
Oh, shut up.
We all know what they do is in vain.
Level and horizontal are the same thing. That's immaterial. We're talking about a curved earth here. If you take a sphere and cut it with a plane, you get a circle, which represents the surface of a sphere.
And we're assuming that the auto level makes a horizontal, right?
Yes, at its position, set up, yes.
Everything is relative to you.
We're not measuring an angle.
You just have to say it in generalities.
Oh, shut up.
Just like those straight lines are curving.
1.330.
Drive down the road, don't you ever swerve. And I don't know
Yep, we've been at this a half an hour.
where all of this goes.
I'm going to give you 15 minutes. After that, I'm out of
Never
here.
take advice from fools.
I'm out of here.
Everything that they say is in vain.
Oh, shut up.
Never take advice from fools. Everything that they do is in vain.
You take a section of a sphere, you cut it with a plane, you get a circle. That gives you the outline of the profile of the surface of the sphere. It's a circle, and that's what you work with. And it's like, it's just a cross section, and that's Euclidean geometry. Oh, shut up!
I know the game that you're playing,
Never mind, Beth.
and I know exactly what's on your mind.
This
You
is
got your playbook, it's alright.
not going to go anywhere. I can see that because
Your model dictates what you will find.
you just don't understand the equipment and
I
what.
don't know
Oh, shut up!
where all of this goes. Don't take advice from fools.
Oh, shut up!
Everything that they say is in vain. Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in
Where the
vain.
issue comes in is what are your limitations if you're trying to do this on a curved surface. That's where the problems come in. When you do a double peg test, the curve of the earth is taken out because you're shooting equidistance on the foresight and backsight onto your two pegs. So those two marks that you put on your pegs are guaranteed to be at the same elevation.
Buster, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna love this, bro, and everybody else. I was going through the LIGO videos the other day. I just wanted to make sure where the motors were and this and that. I just wanted to make sure. So I forgot. How could I run into something and I go, how the hell did I forget this? We all know they're building an underground LIGO named Einstein. I think they named it Einstein, whatever. And a space one, right? We discussed that before.
Yeah, I remember that a little bit. Yeah.
Well, how did I forget this? They're going to build because they want to increase the sensitivity of the detection. So they want to build another LIGO with arms not 4 kilometers, but 40 kilometers long.
Did they say where?
No, they haven't chosen a site yet. No,
Gotcha.
as far as I can remember.
I bet they know where they want it to go.
Yeah. Now you guys can imagine the implications of that, right? A 40-kilometer arm that has to be perfectly straight and level.
Yep. A long way.
I can't
Upside
wait.
down they got to go.
Yeah. I can't wait, bro, for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here. False alarm, I guess. I heard the igniter go on, but I didn't hear the natural gas ignite.
Okay, George. So,
Hello, George.
yeah, good morning.
Hey there, Bev.
I heard you were up late last night doing some research on.
No, I wasn't up late. Not real late, no.
Oh, okay. But you were, like when you got double rodding. I mean, they might call it something different.
When I got what?
When you went researching, looking for the double rodding.
No, I didn't do any research. I just worked out the geometry.
Oh, right. You just had to think about it, right? You
Yeah,
understood.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been aware of the double rod differential leveling, but I just looked at it always before, rather just really quick with the geometry and was satisfied with it. But this time I just sat down and looked at it in real detail, worked out the geometry to see what was going on in terms of angles and how the rods would read from various positions. And so I went into a lot of detail on it now, so I have a real good understanding of what's going on there geometrically.
Yeah, right. One thing at the beginning, when you say you worked out the geometry, do you mean you worked out whether it was Euclidean or non-Euclidean geometry? Wait, what type of geometry? Or did you just mean...
Well, of course, it's Euclidean geometry. Okay. It's plain geometry on a piece of paper.
Okay, so when we refer to geometry, we're talking about Euclidean geometry.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and only Euclidean geometry, right?
Yeah.
You'll let us know if you ever decide to want to swap geometries.
This isn't real complicated.
I know. It's just pretty simple as far as I can see.
You don't need to know much more beyond the fact of intersecting lines. Line intersecting two parallels give you equal vertical angles and equal opposite angles, vertical angles, these sorts of things, adjacent angles, transverse angles, how they all are related to one another when you have parallels that are intersected by a line, the same line. And then the other thing is knowing how to compute arc lengths given a radius and an angle of sweep. What is the arc length? And that's about all you need to know, and maybe how a tangent function is defined, but that's the extent of the mathematics. The rest is just working out the algebra and the relationships of the angles and distances.
Yep. All geometry would be deemed Euclidean, and all Euclidean principles.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I'm not. I'm just. It's for everybody else.
This is just basically no more than high school geometry. They don't get beyond Euclidean geometry, plane geometry, plane, Plane, plane geometry. Not solid geometry, not analytic geometry, but plane geometry.
That's good. So that's how you've worked this out.
Yes.
Okay. So what you mean is you've worked the numbers for how double rodding differential leveling works.
Yes.
Okay. So, you think we get the idea here that George has sorted that it is definitely Euclidean geometry, and he was going on about transverse angles and all of that sort of stuff. So he's definitely been away and studied this now. And like he said, it's high school stuff. It's dead easy to be able to see this. All you've got to do is be able to put a picture in your mind of how this double rodding process works. It will be gone over very simple, because it is a very simple process. Shared straight line segment. Sort of explained within the realizing Euclid test. We use this very process to show that a shared straight line segment can extend a straight line. It's sort of a postulate within Euclid that a straight line, a terminated straight line, can be extended in a straight line indefinitely. It's a postulate number 2, I think, in all of the geometries, even the ones that they made up. Not in imaginometry, though. So, George definitely studied it. George has definitely agreed that this is Euclidean, and he's definitely agreed that it's high school stuff that can be done by anyone. All you've got to do is put your mind to this. It does get tricky, so please, if at any time you do put your mind to this and become frightened or whatever by the results that you come to or the decisions that you come to, then don't be alarmed. Perhaps switch off and Go away. You might not want to hear this. If you think there's a chance that you might fall into that trap, I'd sort of stop watching now. I wouldn't go over because you might end up realizing some Euclid or something. Who knows? So here we go. Okay, brilliant.
Because you have to look at it in both, in two cases. One is the simplest cases, or over on a flat plane, a flat Earth, as you say.
A plane.
That makes it real simple.
Yeah.
And then the other one is you have to work it out on a curved Earth and see what the differences are.
That's not Euclidean then at that point, right?
Of course it is.
No, you can't bend the horizontal and say it's still Euclidean.
I didn't say I bent the horizontal.
Okay.
Bent the surface. Euclidean geometry, arcs are permitted in Euclidean geometry.
He nearly said surface then. Do you want to hear that again?
Work it out on a curved Earth and see what the differences are.
That's not Euclidean then at that point, right?
Of course it is.
No, you can't bend the horizontal and say it's still Euclidean.
I didn't say I bent the horizontal.
Okay.
Bent the surface. Euclidean geometry, arcs are permitted.
He nearly said surface then, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Stop saying it. He stopped himself from saying it, right? Because he knew it was wrong. Well, he knew that's what he had to do, but he knew saying it would have exposed himself. And the trick's still being played to himself. This is the final nutsacking. Be aware. This is very, very difficult if you hold a model. So, yeah, be aware.
In Euclidean geometry, you realize the simplest geometry is what the Greeks did, where they have a straight edge.
Yes, we know.
Beth, this is not going to work if you're going to interrupt me. I do not interrupt. I haven't been interrupting you.
Well, don't talk to me as though you're acting as though I'm stupid. I'm just telling you. I know book 3 in Euclid is the book about circles, right? We understand the geometry involved in this.
Okay, then why are you asking?
Because you're talking about a curved Earth as though it's Euclidean.
Looking at a cross section. If you take a sphere,
that's fine.
If you take a sphere and cut it with a plane, you get a circle, which represents the surface of a sphere. That is Euclidean.
Okay, so here's point number 1. George has now related the Earth to Euclidean geometry, because obviously there is only one geometry. And that's the one that when you're dealing with practical things, like George is going to be attempting to do here, attempting to solve the horizontal paradox. But he's doing it through differential leveling and double rodding. It's a little bit of a trick performed. But George is apparently thinking that Euclidean geometry is the way to go. Just normal geometry that everybody's using, right? So why doesn't normal geometry work? Well, this is why you find out with the nutsacking. Yes. Yeah, so not spherical geometry, right?
No,
right,
not whatsoever.
That's fine as long as we're understanding that at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you take a section of a sphere, you cut it with a plane, you get a circle. That gives you the outline of the profile of the surface of the sphere. It's a circle, and that's what you work with. And it's like, it's just a cross section, and that's Euclidean geometry.
Okay, I get that. Now, do you want me to wipe my board and then we can get on the board and you can walk us through it if you haven't got any drawings?
Well, if you want to do that, but let's just talk about it first.
Okay. If we get struggling, then I can access the board for you if you want, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
Well, you were.
Does everybody think I'm doing okay being nice to George? George seems to think that we were horrible, nasty, vile people, but in most of the conversations I've ever had with George, I've been nice. I don't think I've ever been don't think I've ever threatened any death threats upon George or done anything like that for a joke.
Hey,
Kids.
can I say something?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so
Always.
I don't know if you guys ever heard Nathan Oakley talk to George, but
No.
he was not very nice to George.
I
He
have heard.
treated George with a level of respect.
Who's Nathan Oakley? Really?
Thanks for watching, Blue.
He's just some
Thank you
dude,
for coming.
some dude that has a show, and George went on that show a couple times and got berated like a child.
Yeah. Oh, that's the guy. Bad. You know, if anybody that's listening, I wouldn't go to that show.
Yeah, well, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
Blue Marble's in the chat saying we're like criticizing him. Like, we're not. We're going over his stuff, Blue. This is George's legacy. This is George attempting to solve the horizontal paradox for you Blue Marble scientists. This is modern mathematics.
But still, criticizing is nothing wrong. You
Well,
can't
Blue
criticize.
thinks it's something wrong with it.
Well,
Unless he's
so
praising us. Well done. Yeah.
where is tolerance then? If you cannot criticize.
He said there's only 17 people watching, which is right. It's right, because I told them, Blue, I don't think you should be here. Like, you shouldn't listen to this, Blue. This is the final nutsacking. This is the end. Yeah, I don't want to talk about all of the death threats and all of that came from George. I mean, he is that guy. Let's leave all of that stuff in the past. Let's try and help George fulfill his legacy. I don't know who's going to help him, but George is just stating that we are definitely using Euclidean geometry, and I think that's what Blue Marble Science uses as well, as in all of the people who live in reality use Euclidean geometry, even though Brenda seems to go against that. And they may want to contradict themselves at some point.
Asking me yesterday about the readings on poles. If, say, you step the poles 75 meters apart, and then after setting your two first poles on the foresight on the differential leveling, and then moved your...
I'm sorry, Blue. You can get out of here. Who's making death threats? Not me, Blue. If you've misrepresented that, I don't know where you've heard that. Has anybody else hear any of that? Or is Blue just making stuff up?
Making stuff up, yes.
Nice one, Blue. I told you, Blue. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be listening to this. This is an impossible task for the Blue Marble scientists. You'll end up nut-sacking yourself. I wouldn't stay round here, Blue. This is not
Yeah, it's not
good
healthy
you,
for
Blue.
globe believers to be in here.
This is one of the things that reality hurts when you hear it, Blue. Don't stick around trying to make veiled threats of your own.
on a level ahead
Terrible.
75 meters and then shot back on a backside to the poles, and you read, say, 1.33 0.
Do you want to hear that again? Right? Because he did just do that, George. George is talking to us about some double rodding, right? So you're looking at a rod. And what number would you read on it?
On a backside
Tell
to
us,
the poles,
George.
and you read, say, 1.33 0.
1.33 0. Want to hear it again? Thank you very much, gods. And nobody scripted this. Nobody gave this to George. This is what George used to come round and do.
On a backside to the poles, and you read, say, 1.33 0 on the first backside pole, what would I read on the other pole that's 150 meters away? And I gave you a number then, but I had only figured it using on the curved earth. On the backside, I didn't figure in, as I told you, on the when setting up the 2 double rods, and it turns out it does modify the reading, and in fact, it makes it even harder to detect because in the nature of the double rod differential leveling, it takes out most of the effects of the earth curve. However, not all of it. There is a bit of residual left. And depending upon how far you space your poles from one another and the auto level determines how much error you're going to get in your readings. And I was really quite surprised at 75 meters that if you're looking back after you move your auto level forward to do a backside to the 2 double rods, and if you're reading 1.330, you actually have to have rods with much finer graduations and a auto level with much more capability in terms of resolution in order to read the errors that would be caused by earth curve, because it turns out when you're shooting back on your back sight at 150 meters to the first rod in the double rod, the error that you're only going to pick up is 1.3 millimeters. And that that works out less to, you're not going to be able to read that on your poles.
There you go. Nobody said it couldn't be done. Double rodding.
But if you can't read the numbers, what are you doing?
What do you mean you can't read it? How'd you get 1.3 millimeters if you can't read it? You can't measure it. Like, what's there a number there for if you can't measure it? How does he know you can't measure it? Of course you can measure it. They run to 1 millimeter. First order measurements. He's going over that, so they can be much more accurate than that. This is the problems it's caused from double rodding. And this is only over 100 meters. With an auto level. Theoretically, by George, right? Because he doesn't know actually, I don't know how it works, but yeah. So, welcome to the how to nutsack a and all nutsacking is when you put your mind into a model where the model starts to take over what would happen in reality were you to not add the model. Once you do that and you're down to 150 meters, and who can't do something over 150 meters? It almost sounds really weird, doesn't it, that me and Spot On have both got 400 meter water levels. Might be a test involved in it. If George says that you can see it within 150 meters, it might be worth actually doing a test, because George says it's there, and we do the realizing Euclid test. Double rodding. Well, we do the water level equivalent because we thought it was a bit more down to earth. More real, if you can say that. Less technology. More physical. Less optical. You want to take it out of the realm of trust. Elevate it into the realm of the mathematical, the forms, things that are provable. So here we go. George is now attempting, quarter of an hour in. It's done well. Like, he's already told us the problems
over 150 meters because, as you know, in rods that are read in metric, they're generally graduated in about 5 millimeter graduations, right? Bev?
I've got one that's got 5 mil, but they're usually centimeters.
Yes, a half a centimeter,
But-
5 millimeter, half a centimeter. Half a centimeter is.
They do have ones that you can use to 0.02 of a millimeter. The precise ones, but
0.02 millimeters?
Yeah.
No way.
What?
No.
yeah, they get a micrometer
No.
on them.
A micrometer to get you to 0.02
Mm-hmm.
millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't read that. You can't read that at 150 meters. I
No,
mean,
50
maybe for
50
close-in work.
Yeah, 50 meters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking at about 100 at the 150 meters, where you're going to have to sight back to the first rate, your first pole. The best you're going to be able to do at 1 arc second. Let's see here.
Well, what is it? 50 meters. What's the?
Just a minute. Okay, at 50 meters. Let's see.
Oh. He's calculating. He was good at calculating, was George. All we're talking about here is the principles of the idea, right? Like if you can.
Yes,
you can,
but we also have to be concerned with how accurately we can read our poles.
Yeah, but if you can make a straight line, then you can extend the straight line. That's the principles of the surveying,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes, yes, yes.
Why is it so important to read the pole, George?
Hang on a second. I gotta let Con out. Hang on, I'll be right back. He's having a little difficulty today with his food.
Con wasn't well.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay, where were we?
I don't know. You were doing something. It was on you. You were explaining.
No, you had
to us
asked
this
me
method.
something. Well, you're asking me something about 50 meters. What resolution at 50 meters or something? We were talking about reading range poles.
Yeah, we're talking about there are auto levels out there that can read 0.02 of a millimeter with a micrometer.
But I'm not talking about what is out there. What I'm talking about is what you are using in doing your experiment. That's what we're limited to, not what can.
Like, see, this was something that George, and you'll find other people do this too. If you're trying to theoreticize a method, why is he bothered about what I've got? What's that matter? Oh, it's almost as if they don't want to do this for themselves. They want me to do it, and why they're going to tell me that I can't do it. It's not. I mean, I know that how to do double rodding. The idea is to get some other people to try thinking about these things, because there is, as you would say, a contradiction involved, a mathematical contradiction, and everybody knows about all sorts of contradictions. Really, are impossible. They don't actually happen, but a mathematical contradiction is an impossibility. That's what we're talking about now, not what my tools are and which tools I've got to be able to do whatever tests that we've already done. George thinks it's important.
Actually be done with the best.
We're doing
equipment.
a concept here now, aren't we? You're going to explain to us
let's assume.
method.
Okay, all right, fine. Let's assume we have a perfect R level and perfect range poles. Okay.
Okay.
There's no limit to the resolution in our auto level. We can measure it down to the diameter of an atom, let's say.
Well, let's just say that there's no need for us to put a distance on here, because all we're talking about is the geometric principles of what's going on, right? So the number can be n, right? the distance between the poles. As long as it's the same, then we know what we're talking about, right? But if you want to give us some numbers from your model, you can give us a number.
Yeah, I'll go with the numbers you gave me yesterday. We'll go with 75 meters, and we can also go with 33 meters.
We'll go with 75 and 150 then, right?
Yeah.
With the understanding that it could be any number.
Yes.
All we're doing is the principle.
Yes. I have it figured out generally for any distance you want. Okay, I just didn't use a set number. I figured out the geometry in general, so we can put any distance you want in, and I can tell you what the errors are.
Okay, so this is the idea. If you want to join in mentally, you've got an auto level set up. Boom. It's horizontal. It's the best auto level, so it just sets a horizontal. Then you've got 2 range poles. One at 75 meters and one at 150 meters. That's it. Now they're attached to the floor, and you're going to measure the numbers that you can see on both of these poles. So you're taking 2 readings on the same horizontal where the rods are related to the ground underneath them. They are both standing vertically and they are perpendicular to the horizontal. That's what you've got to imagine. And then what we'll do is we'll move the auto level from one side and place it on the other side, and we'll look back on these 2 same rods and measure the numbers from the other side. Very simple concept. Very simple idea. It's up to everybody else to imagine what they would think would be going on in these scenarios.
All right.
Let's see.
So, now, there's absolutely no issue when we're talking about doing this double rod differential leveling, say on a flat plane, a flat surface, because everything works out. I don't have any disagreement that everything lines along a straight line and are also parallels to horizontals. That's not the issue here, because that always works out on a flat surface.
Okay, so it always works out. Works out in reality as well, but for George, he's not dealing with the reality side now. He's going to make it complicated for some reason.
Where the issue comes in is what are your limitations if you're trying to do this on a curved surface. That's where the problems come in. And so if you take your double rods, just for the benefit of everyone, what you proposed yesterday is we start out with a rod that has a 1 meter height on it. The one thing we have to establish, though, is when we're setting up our rods and we're setting up our auto levels, we're assuming it's like on the surface of water, correct? That's perfectly smooth. There's no hills, there's no valleys where we have to make height or elevation corrections. We're just assuming it's a nice smooth surface like on a canal or a body of water, correct?
Yeah, we're assuming, assuming a level surface, right? Perfectly level surface on the floor.
Yeah, I call it a smooth surface.
And we're assuming that the auto level makes a horizontal, right?
Yes, at its position of setup, yes.
Okay. Okay, so you can see I've got my whiteboard on. I've got the auto levels, and I've got the poles in between. Very crudely drawn, because I've just drawn them as I was talking to George in order to help George. This says the simplest proof that you didn't know you already knew. Keep that in mind when you're looking at this and watching it. And, oh, sorry, don't forget that George was the mathematical genius on the Blue Marble Science team. he's the best. He was the best. They all lauded over him. God rest his soul.
So we're on a smooth surface, like on a canal, the surface of water, all right, still water. Nice smooth surface. Okay, so we start out, so the bottoms of all our poles are on this smooth surface. So you start out, you put a pole up, and you put a 1 meter mark above the surface. That's what you started with, and then you moved your auto level ahead, I don't know what, 5-10 meters or so to sight that to adjust the auto level to that height, right?
Yeah. Can you see that there?
Oh, are you presenting or something?
I've got my camera on, so on the
Okay,
left
hold
hand
on.
side there.
Hold on.
I'm just going to keep updating it as we go.
Just a minute. Is there a way to expand this? It's just a thumbnail on my screen.
I think you double click it.
Oh, okay. Hang on. What the hell? What's going on here? I'm clicking it, but it doesn't. It just tells me about you. It's not giving me any options for the screen. This is different than what I've seen before. Huh. Hang on. I killed it. Huh. This is really weird.
How is it for everyone else?
Don't you have to go live or something? All I'm getting is a thumbnail.
Is everyone else okay with the camera? Like, can you expand that?
Yeah, I got the screen on.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, you can.
Are you getting full screen though, Montreal?
Yeah, I got full screen, George.
Give us a Discord lesson on how to enlarge the camera screen, please.
Well, all I'm getting is a thumbnail, and I'm not getting any options for expansion. There's nothing to grab onto.
George, if you're using a phone, all you gotta do is double tap.
I'm not using a phone. This is a computer, laptop.
Oh.
Go.
It should show up for you.
If you click on, see where we're talking here, George. Click on the
Yes,
live.
I've done that, Bev. I've done that.
Click
Yes.
on the live on YouTube, so you see everybody's individual bits. There should be a
Yes,
page.
I'm there.
Right
Yes.
now, double click
Okay,
on the one
wait,
that you want to watch.
Hold on. I got it here. Okay. Something's changed on my Discord. Okay. All right. So you got your 1 meter height. All right.
Yeah.
You got your auto level set up.
We're measuring 1 meter on this first click, right? We've got
Correct.
75 meters, and then over the 2, 150. 75, 150. This is the back side, this is the foresight. That's all we're really bothered about, right?
Almost. I mean, yesterday what you wanted to do was when you moved your auto level ahead, you raised it up so that it was shooting that second pole on the foresight. Well, why don't you label the poles so we know what we're talking about? Call the first pole pole A, the second pole pole B.
You want to name the poles?
Yeah, because it makes it much easier to talk about what we're talking about. Yeah, that's A, that's B. Now call the first position of the auto level 1 and the second position 2.
This is how George was.
We'll call this one, okay.
Just call it 1, position 1, position 2. All right, that makes it much easier. All right. So the auto level at 1 to site pole A is 75 meters. Pole A to pole B is 75 meters. And then we move the auto level ahead so that pole B is 75 meters from that auto level. But yesterday you were raising the auto level so that when you did the back sight to B, rather than sighting the mark that you did on the foresight, you were actually above 1 meter. You're at 1.33 meters. Do you still want to do that, or how do you want to do this?
Well, that's what you would do, right? You would. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you're the one. You're the one that's had to think about this. So you tell us your way. I was just trying to give you a practical idea of.
Yeah. Well, let's just do the practical idea. Let's just go with that. Okay. Let's go with the numbers you used yesterday. So the auto level at position 2 has been raised up. So when you're sighting, doing your back sight to B, rather than reading 1 meter, you're reading 1.330 meters. Okay.
Okay. Are you not going to sight the second one from point 1 before moving it yet, though?
No, I'm assuming you already did that.
This is you, George.
Well, I said.
You've done
okay.
You've done the maths right.
We'll go through it a step at a time. I'm just trying to jump us ahead here.
Okay, great.
To where we were yesterday. All right.
Let's do it right from the beginning. Right from the very start. Right. So
okay.
What we've done is we've got the auto level. We've set it up. We've done our 2-peg test. It's all working fine. And we've got it. We've put it here, and we are looking at the datum, and it's 1 meter. Right, so the height of this auto level above the datum, initial datum, is 1 meter. Right?
Yeah.
Then we're turning the auto level and we're looking this way.
Now, Bell, wait. Do you have any colored pens, like a red?
Got a green. They're
well,
all
I mean
blue.
something to get a different color. Do you have something like a red? You have some red writing on the right there. Do you have that pen handy so we can make some marks to differentiate from the green?
What for? You just want a different colored pen?
Well, it will make it easier in my explanation.
In your explanation. Right, I've got a red pen here. But
all right.
That one's no good. Let's see that one. Go on. Don't huff and puff at me, George. Go on.
Oh God.
Right, so we've measured this at 1 meter. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Off you go. Carry on. I'll just this as you're telling us.
Is there some way to focus this better? I mean, the image is very
carry on
poor.
Explaining, George, and
I'm saying the image. The image is very poor. Is there some way to do a better focus?
Don't let me lead you, George. Off you go. Have you got some glasses?
Oh, fuck you. Goodbye.
Anytime you're ready, George.
I think he left.
Oh, what's going on there, Turner? Whoa, that's... Wow, bad robot. Yeah, that's not good. You need to leave and come back again. So, that was as much as George could take for the first one. Couldn't even stand seeing the picture. I don't know whether he called back. Let's listen. Trying to be awfully accommodating. I thought we were going to get... I'm stood up here now, George. Do I have to... I got my red pen out.
Look, Bev, I'm not really interested in having this discussion with you anymore. Like I said, if all you're going to do is try to make fun of the fact that you have shitty video and blaming it on me, there's just nowhere to go on this. You're just an asshole. You behave like an asshole.
You carry on. Tell us.
No, you behave like an asshole, and I'm not interested. George. We're not going to have a productive discussion because you just
George,
can't.
You just made a joke about your glasses. Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
You don't need to see this. This isn't for you.
Yes, I do.
Explain.
Yes, I do. So I know that you are understanding what I'm telling you.
Okay. Well, everyone else can see it. Can everyone else see it?
Yes.
There you go. Right. So we've done our back sight, George, and we know the height of the auto level. 1 meter. Where do we go from here?
Well, what would work better is you have some black writing above your poles. I want you to extend your poles upward a little bit and move your auto level in position 2 upward, because your auto level from yesterday was in position 2 is higher than the auto level in position 1. So if we're going to go through the scenario you presented yesterday, we have to have an accurate diagram.
Well, let's start off with the auto level in position 1, and let's deal with that first, and I'll do the adjustments for everything else later.
No, we do it as we go and we take care of it on the run. Otherwise,
we've only got one auto level, George, and it's at the first position right now. We've just measured
Okay,
one.
what I want you to do is wipe your board clean and we'll start over.
No, come
you
on.
wipe it clean, then we're not going to do this.
All right, don't then. Like,
all right.
You carry on. You carry on with your explanation of what's going on, and I'm going to do my best to represent it, like I have been doing all along.
You can't do it with the way you have it written, because the auto level in position 2,
I'm
we're
just
going
going
to
to
raise
write
it
numbers on
upward.
it, aren't I, George? Isn't that what I'm doing?
Why is this so difficult for you?
Right, look, everybody that's looking in here now, right? We've got an auto level. We've set it up here. We're going to look at this rod and this rod. This one's 75 meters away. This one's 75 meters away. Once we've done that, we are going to take this and move it to here, which is 75 meters away from this one, and 150 meters away from this one. So they're there. Then we're going to read the numbers on there and there. Now, does the location of where this is matter to anybody? Anybody else?
The height of it matters.
Do you understand what's going on here?
Yes.
Okay. Come on, George. Walk us through it.
Okay, so in position 2 now, you're doing a back sight from position 2.
From here, this way, yeah.
Yes, all right. The reading that you proposed to me yesterday, that you're reading on pole B, is 1.330 meters.
Oh, it was on both of them, actually.
Huh?
You want me to mark that on there now, do you?
Yes.
Okay. So this one from this side, 1.33 meters. There you go.
Okay. Now, you're going to sight pole A from that same position 2. Yes, and you asked me what would be the reading on position pole A.
Yeah.
And the reading there, if we're on level water on a curved earth, that reading will not be 1.33 meters, but will be 1.33013 meters, slightly higher than what you read on pole B. You don't have enough resolution there.
Right, well, come on, what did you say? 1.
Okay, let's put it in terms of millimeters.
1.33.
013.
013 meters.
That's the actual reading that you'd have. If you have a very good auto level and a very good range pole, that's what you should be reading. So, when you connect those 2 points with a straight line, that line is not going to be horizontal. It's going to be slightly tilted, because the reading on pole A is slightly higher than the reading on pole B.
Did anybody spot that? I'm going to go back. Listen to what Joyce says.
That's what you
I'm
should
not
be
sure
reading.
what, spot what.
So,
Listen.
when you connect those 2 points with a straight line, that line is not going to be horizontal. It's going to be slightly tilted, because
with a straight line.
Straight line tilted, yes.
Well, it's the horizontal line,
Great
right?
job.
The horizontal line that you've set the tool up is not going to have a horizontal line because you've measured different numbers for some reason. And it's tilting upwards. This is the problem. Double rodding causes this is why we call it the nutsacking. He's just contradicted himself, but I hope you're listening, Blue. This is what you left George with, to do it on his own. Oh man.
Because the reading on pole A is slightly higher than the reading on pole B.
The line across there from here won't be horizontal, you say?
Yeah, well, obviously it won't be because it's slightly higher.
Obviously it won't be. Why? Should be. It's a level. Why would George say that? George is pretending to be an actual surveyor and a mathematician. How would he say that the level won't be horizontal? Because that's what the tool does. Interesting. Okay, because the numbers are different, right?
That's right.
Okay. So over this distance here, right? Well, let's do this one because this is you can't. These numbers here are meaningless until we've got this one because we've started here.
That's correct. Okay, we'll do that one.
Right. So
yes,
we started off at a meter. What's this first reading?
That first reading will be 1.00044. 1.00044. It's 0.44 millimeters high.
Okay. 0.44 millimeters.
Yes. Almost a half a millimeter high over the 75 meters.
And what about?
And then on pole B, the reading will be high by 1.3 millimeters, or you'll be reading 1.33013. 013.
What, from the first one? Looking at
That's
B.
right. That's right. So that's going to be reading even a little bit higher.
You sure that's right? That doesn't look right, that, Judge.
Well, it might not look right. It's because when you join the lines, you'll find they're not parallel.
Right, well...
See, you're assuming they're parallel. If you truncate everything to...
You want me to go back and do this, right? Because you're going to find out exactly what George was, right? Anybody spot the mistake that George has made? No.
Besides other ones?
Right, so the reading on the first, the elevation of the auto level was 1 meter. Because you read the 1 meter on the backside to the benchmark, right? That's how we set the level. Like George insisted on it rather than just starting off at the beginning. So he's now turned it and it's now read 1.00044 of a meter. So it's higher than the meter. So it's, again, like he had it sloping upwards on the other side. He's looking this way and it's sloping upwards again, as you'd expect, because he sounds like his auto level's knackered, right? So, and then the second one, listen to what number he gives me for me to write down.
It's 0.44 millimeters high.
That's the first one. 0.44 millimeters.
Yes. Almost a half a millimeter high over the 75 meters.
And what about?
And then on pole B, the reading will be high by 1.3 millimeters, or you'll be reading 1.33.
1.33. It's a third of a meter he's just gained, right? But I'm writing it down because George is leading this. I will point out to him that it seems a little bit wrong because it seems as though he's obsessed with the 33s for some reason. The initial one was just 1 meter. He's added 0.33 in. So, don't know why.
013. 013. 013.
What, from the first one? Looking at
That's right. That's right.
1.33 gone from 1 meter.
So that's going to be reading even a little bit higher.
You sure that's right? That doesn't look right, that, Judge.
Well, it might not look right. It's because when you join the lines, you'll find they're not parallel.
Right, well...
See, you're assuming they're parallel. If you truncate everything to 1.33, it looks like they're parallel. But in actuality, you have to use much finer resolution to find out what the differences are.
Right.
You have to go out to more decimal places.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Right, so the first reading, according to you, is 0.5 millimeter high at the first reading at 75 meters. So
correct.
Over here, from this first 75, it's gone down, right? The ground has dropped, which gives us a bigger reading, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the ground has dropped nearly 0.5 of a millimeter over the 75
correct.
Meters. And at
correct.
the second pole, yeah, you've got a reading of 1.33013.
Correct. So the pole is dropped 1.3 millimeters.
No, it's dropped
1.3 millimeters.
33 centimeters, right?
No, 1.3 millimeters.
1.33013.
That's right, 1.33013.
What? See, now, this is where I think Blue should be helping George, right? If George had run this through with anybody and checked the numbers, so surely somebody else should have noticed this. There's a glaring mistake that he's added 33 in where he shouldn't have done. And he can't see it. It's ECV. This is why we were nice to George. George didn't know what he was doing. Should have had somebody there checking up on him. Right, well that's...
1.33013.
Yeah.
I can't read your board. But the focus is bad.
Yeah, but you're giving me these numbers, right? It's gone from 1.00044...
What number is that? Right in the second one. What's the number you wrote down?
1.33013.
Yes, that's 1.3 millimeters high.
But you did that from here, right? You got... You're getting yourself confused, George. Why
No, you're confused. Bev, the green numbers are on the back sight, or on the foresight from 1, position 1.
Yes.
We've got, okay, listen, please listen, so you have the numbers right.
You see the numbers? Okay, go on, give us the numbers again. Number on
okay,
pole
the
A.
first one, pole A is 1.0. Why don't you put it in all in millimeters? Then it's easier. Oh, well, hell with it. Okay, it's 1.330.
George.
We're doing it in meters. I said 1.
He's added 33 in again. What's going on?
Yes, he said we are doing this in meters. So 1 is meter. And
Yeah.
0.33 means 1/3 of meter. So
Yeah.
blatantly.
He's added 33 in here on this one as well. Like, we started off on a meter. I don't know why he wanted to go to the back site and add in 1.33 before doing the first foresight. He's out of order, but what he's doing is he's adding 33s in all over the place. Listen to him again. Remember, the first foresight is 1.000.
Oh, hell with it. Okay, it's 1.330.
George.
We're doing it in meters. I said 1.330044.
George.
Oh, fuck you. Aren't you listening?
Off at 1 meter, right?
Yes, I'm giving it to you in meters.
Right.
Listen up.
You want me to
Jesus.
change this number here? This is this first pole number, right?
That's right. A. Pole A.
Pole A with the first one from the beginning, from the datum.
Is one.
Is 1
The
meter.
first one is 1 meter exactly.
Yeah, at the datum.
Yes, the datum
auto
is
level.
1 meter. 1.000000000 meters.
That's the height of the auto level.
Oh, fuck.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're on to the first pole. What
Yes.
number would we read on the pole?
The number you will read on the first pole, pole A, is 1.0 or 1.330044 meters.
You've got a broken auto level at the first one there. George.
Again, yes.
No, you don't. That's because of the Earth curve. The pole has dropped a little bit.
He's
33.
added 33?
Yeah,
What?
33.
Like, seriously, what's going on? I know a lot of people talk about the Illuminati and all of that, but it seems like George is obsessed with it. That's not me. I'm not doing that. George is flicking 33s all over the place. If it's not a code, what's he doing? Is it a cry for help? I don't know what's going on. Not 33 centimeters, George. Surely not.
It hasn't dropped 30. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, God. You got me screwed up. All right.
No, you've got yourself screwed up.
All right. Forget. All right,
Calm down,
forget.
George, please calm
Okay.
down.
All right, Bab. I'm having a hard time seeing what you're doing on the.
See, we're having to say, George, calm down, please. George. He's stressing himself out for no apparent reason. Well, it's not. It's because he's been assigned an impossible task from the Blue Marble science community. He's trying to solve the horizontal paradox. In reality.
The board here. It's so fuzzy.
Don't read
Okay.
off my board. Read off your numbers.
Okay. All right. Wipe the numbers out. Clear them off. Leave the red ones. Leave the red ones. Just do the green ones there. Okay. All right. Pardon me. Yeah.
That wasn't me, was it, George?
No, I apologize. It was me. I was having a hard time reading what you're doing on the board. I don't know why your video is so poor, but anyway. Okay. Pole A.
Cheap cameras.
From the auto level at position 1, you're going to read on pole A 1.00044.
Exactly the same. Yep.
Okay? And on the second pole, you're going to read 1.00176. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, when we move our auto level forward to position 2 and do our backside, the numbers we're going to read, the first pole, you set it up to read 1.33000 exactly. You're adjusting it so it reads that number.
No, we just set it up, and that's the number we read.
That's right.
Works.
That's what I just said. That's the number you've set it up to read. So on the second...
No, George. When we set it up...
I just said that, Bab. You've set it up, and you're shooting the pole, and that's the number you're reading on the pole.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't
1.33.
We just set
1.33 exactly. That's what you're reading on the pole.
Okay.
From your setup. Now, the question is what are we going to read on pole A? On pole A, we are going to read 1.3300044. 1, 3, 2.
1, 3, 2.
Okay.
The 2 in, got it.
So those are the numbers.
Better.
And that's due to Earth curve.
Right, okay. So the difference between here to here is 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, 2. Yeah? And the difference from here to here is 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, 2. Again, that's good. Almost as if you've calculated it. So we've got, now, because these are horizontals and this is it dropping. Here's the problem.
Um,
Right, this line here, the land is dropping in between from this one, right?
Correct.
And from this one, when we're looking this way, it's dropping also.
That's correct.
Right, so it's dropping from both sides.
Correct.
Okay. Now. Right. What's that sound like? Anybody else give a chance of that being possible in your mind, at least? Because it's just numbers and sticks on a board, really. But when you dropping from both sides, that's what we call the double drop. The nutsack, the double nutsack drop. George is famous for this. It's George that brought this one in. Yeah, double nutsack drop. This is George's thing. Now we're doing it with double rodding. And he's managed to implement the double nutsack drop within double rodded differential leveling. It's amazing. Horizontals. This is the new modern horizontal level surface. Now, when we draw those lines in for the horizontals, would this one be like at that angle and this one be at this angle? In order to get these numbers? Or is that the floor? The floor would be dropping down, right?
Well, you got to connect the greens with the greens and the reds with the reds.
Yeah, but obviously, because this is a horizontal and we're measuring the drop of the land, right, then it's the land that's dropping away at the underneath, isn't it? Like, we could do this. We could do that. And put the horizontal would be horizontal all the way across. And then from the green side, we've got the land going down like that. And then from the red side, we've got the land going down like that.
Well, what you will find, Bev, if you will find,
right,
given your laser light there, say that's your horizontal.
From
that's the horizontal established by the auto level at position 1. Now, if you were to connect the points that I gave you for A and B pole, you'll find that the green ones, the line defined by the green will be
horizontal.
Horizontal.
It's the land.
That's horizontal.
Because that's what we're measuring. We're measuring the distance.
George has just reached aporia. You can hear the sigh. That's why I don't think anybody else will try this. I hope Blue's not watching this, because it'd be really upsetting trying to replicate this. In your mind, even.
It's horizontal.
Listen to the sigh.
Will be horizontal.
It's the land.
That's horizontal.
Because that's what we're measuring. We're measuring the distance of the land.
That's right.
From this.
That's right.
From this line down.
That's right. That's a horizontal.
Yeah,
yes.
So
and the difference that you're finding.
And then the land. The
Bev, please. Oh God.
Yeah.
Bev, please.
Yeah.
The difference in the numbers is the fact that the bottoms of the poles have dropped a little bit. The tops are lined up with the horizontal, but the bottoms are not. Okay, because of the Earth curvature falling away. Okay, you agree with that. All right. So where the problem comes in now is when you've moved
both sides. That's the problem. There, can you not see that? It's dropping. This one's dropping that way, and then when you're here, it's dropping this way. It's like Like, which way is it dropping? The land.
It goes both ways. It just depends on where you set up.
It goes both ways, says George. Of course it does. This is new, modern science, modern mathematics. It goes both ways. The line, the road up is the road down. Has never had a more... But that was just talking about one line, not both. From opposite positions, relative. Seems like they've got a little bit mixed up within a model. The model confusion. The land drops both ways. I mean, it's the land
not
that you're measuring.
It's dropping with respect to the horizontal. It's not in actuality dropping. It's how you measure it with respect to the horizontal. The fact that the Earth curves away from the horizontal.
The land is definitely dropping. If you're measuring a larger number here than you are here, it's dropping the land. That's...
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
From the perspective of the outer level at 1, the land is dropping away. And also from the perspective of outer level at position 2, it is also dropping.
But it can't actually be dropping both ways.
Yes, it is. Yes, it... Well, it's not...
See, now this is... where he said there, I said, it can't actually be dropping both ways, can it? And he said, yeah, it does. That's where you call the nutsack. The nutsacks have already happened. His mind has allowed him to accept an impossibility.
But then he said, but no.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's the contradiction, right? Internally, he's fighting it to make himself not have to say these things, but you have to. The model makes you say these things. That's why nobody's going to be coming round to come and talk to us about this. Especially not holding the model. And anybody else that wants to come and try and talk to people about this, you'll never get there. George was one of a kind. In order for you to get this far, you have to be obsessed with this. And there isn't anybody else willing to put themselves in the position. George is the one that warned everybody. Don't get involved with this. This reality stuff doesn't help you. It ends you up like George is now, sat in aporia, saying impossible things have to happen. Madness. But that's where they already are. Everybody knows that, right? This just shows it directly in a mathematical way. Proof. Proof of the contradiction that has to happen, both within the mind and on paper.
Dropping as in elevation.
Easy to see.
The elevation is staying the same. It's we're on a curved surface.
What? How do you make these two slopes into a curve? Like, what's that about? I don't understand, George.
I know you don't understand. That's been the whole problem.
Well, I don't know. Like,
well, I'll tell you what, take a break. Take a break. Now, take a break. I'll do a little diagram for you. Maybe it can clear it up. Give me about 10 minutes here. I'll make you a little diagram. I'll be back.
Let's have a chat with the guys then. Right, guys. Any problems with that? I mean, because that does seem to me like that's dropping. If you're getting a larger number further away than there, the land has to be dropping, right? I mean, if the horizontal is at an angle, then it's not really horizontal, is it? Like,
no. Well, George just said we can have a drop. He agreed to that, but then he said...
Did you cut out, I see?
I think so.
That's quite remarkable, wouldn't you say? Unless I understood him wrong.
I think you might have cut out there, Essie.
I said, unless I understood him wrong.
Yeah, I think the bit before that you cut out.
Oh, sorry. If I heard him correctly, I think he said we can have drop. without elevation change?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's trying to justify these numbers and way that these two slopes go.
No, Montreal, that's not what I said. I said without elevation change, there's drop relative to a horizontal that might be tangent or parallel to a tangent to the earth. I'll show you that in a second, but no, that's not what I said.
Do you want to hear that again? Right?
He confirmed.
He said,
first time.
No SE. I didn't, because SE said something. So let's see if we can get that. The way that these two slopes go.
No, Montreal, that's not what I said. I said without elevation change, there's drop relative to a horizontal that might be tangent or parallel to a tangent to the earth. I'll show you that in a second, but no, that's not what I said.
Right, without elevation change, there's a drop to a horizontal or a parallel to a tangent.
Wait a second.
It doesn't make any sense.
Any sense, yes,
Yeah.
because or the horizontal is bending, then between level and horizontal there is no elevation change. That would work, let's say. But if horizontal is straight and level is curved, it has to be elevation change.
Well, you have to remember, right, that the level is the tool that establishes the horizontal. So where does the curved level come into it if the level is the tool that establishes the horizontal? What's he exactly talking about?
No, I agree, but still, you have to have, if you have drop from horizontal, it means that or horizontal is curving, let's say upward, and level is straight, or horizontal is straight and level is curving down. Something has to be curved and something has to be straight here, because otherwise you shouldn't have drop.
Yeah, well, Eric
Elevation.
says if you have drop, you have an elevation change.
Yes, that's right. So you cannot have no elevation change and drop.
This is new blue marble science from George. I really hope, we was hoping somebody was going to come back and pick this up, because it's obviously a problem, needs solving by someone. I mean, it's a problem that they've made themselves and they've generated themselves, in case people weren't aware. But George is here to solve it. He's doing a drawing now in order to help describe what we're talking about. If anybody else wants to have a go at attempting to solve this, just double rodded. What I didn't actually do is get him, because if you notice there is two more bits on the other side. We didn't do the full turnaround here. We did over here. But yeah, we go back that way. He didn't ask us how far this was over here. Might be a mistake within his mathematics.
Okay, sorry, George, I stand corrected.
Where do the numbers come from?
He's calculated them, obviously.
Right, okay.
That's what he spent last night doing some sums.
And these are verified, or just numbers from calculator?
No, dude, it's 0.5 millimeter.
Oh, true, yeah.
Nobody would ever measure 0.5 millimeter.
Yeah.
I've missed some of this. Can anyone just fill me in what's going on with that?
Can you see the picture?
Yeah, it's gone there, yeah.
So we start off, we've got an auto level, right? We're doing, George is running us through the differential double rodding, right? So,
yeah.
So we set up an auto level at 0.1. We take our datum from here, and it turns out auto level 1 meter.
Yeah.
Then we go 75 meters. He didn't ask us how far away we were from the datum. But, I mean, let's assume that we're right on it. Let's assume for some stupid reason we set the datum, we set the auto level right on top of the datum. And then we're sighting 75 meters away is our first pole.
Yeah.
And we're measuring 1.00044 meters, which is half of a mil, or not even half a millimeter. Right?
Right.
And then we go to 150 meters, second pole, same station, and we measure 1.00176 meters, which is 1.7, 1.8 millimeters.
So it's slowly getting lower, yeah? The further you get away.
Yeah. The land is dropping, or because you're reading a higher number on the rod.
Yeah.
Right?
That's that.
So what you do is then you get you do your transition, you move your auto level to 0.2, and you now take backsides on these two pins. The first pin reads 1.33 meters.
1 point what?
1.33.
Yeah.
And then the second pole, it then reads 1.330132 meters, which is 1.32 millimeters different, right? Which is the same.
Oh, what? Okay, so
it's dropping this way as well.
Oh, what's actually establishing here? Are you in the ground then? You're trying to.
What we've got is that the land is dropping from 1 down.
Yeah.
And then when you move your auto level to 2, you've also got a downwards drop, which counteracts the one that you've done there. You would say at that point, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
My auto level's out. I would anyway. If I did that, it can't be dropping in both directions. There's something wrong, I would say.
Well,
George is now doing us a new picture to explain it, because this doesn't seem to have explained it right.
Can't see how you're going to explain that. I mean,
well, other than
if you look back, then the other measurement will be higher.
Yeah, he's going to have to tilt the horizontal in order to make this level. It's the only thing he can do, but it's not going to make any sense again.
Well, no.
Come on, guys, it's simple.
Especially over that distance. I mean, 75 meters, easily measurable. Like, it's just not a problem. I mean, it's just bang on, 0, done.
Yeah. Right. Well, the next one is, as you can see, I've put these posts here because obviously, if we're going to do something on here a bit iffy on this side in order to debunk this, then it's going to have the opposite effect down here, right? If this is tilting in order to bring that up, then it's going to be sloping down on this side. It has to be horizontal all the way across, right? What happens here?
You're not thinking clearly, Dev. You're not thinking clearly. I'd say it's a double drop.
Well,
the way George explained it.
I think this drop here that he has coming from this one will also happen over here as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we'll have to wait for George. I think he's calculating. It's a calculating nightmare, this thing.
Well, I don't know how he's going to sort of, considering that, like, there's no reason why. Well, unless you've got, unless the Earth is moving at, like, a change of elevation from point A where you set it up and dropping away. It's a very small amount. Like, literally, what is the, so it's 1.33. No, sorry, it's not. What was the second point at 150 meters? Lower than the actual.
Yeah, it's 1.32 millimeters.
1.32
millimeters lower. The land, because we've had a level surface, right? That was one of the requirements at the beginning, right? The auto level sets a horizontal, and the land underneath is level. That's what we said.
So why has he got a different measurement
Yeah.
than the other?
Yeah.
Is that not 0?
Yeah, it's going down.
Or 1 meter?
Going down.
He's got 2 drops there going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's obviously never done any surveying. That's what that.
Yeah, he's calculated it. He spent last night calculating it.
Maybe we misunderstood the. We gotta wait for his diagram. Maybe we got it all wrong here.
If you've got a level floor, if you've got a level ground, and you put the staff on it any position, then it'll be 0, right? Can't be any other. And then if you move your thing and you're measuring the same thing again, but from a different position, it'll still be 0.
Yeah, whatever the datum is, if this land's level and you've set this tool up correctly, you've checked it with a 2-peg test, then every reading you take should be 1 meter, because that's the height of this, and this is the ground level.
For the auto position 1, it's been actually measured to the height of a meter, so you don't need to measure the height the other on position 2. You just sight back.
Well, this is where you get your datum from here. Like, that's your first point, right? So the first point is the height that you're starting at, and then you just add the height of your auto level to that datum, and then that becomes your new, like, this becomes your new datum then.
Yeah.
And then you just read the height here. And well, if this surface is level, you should get 1 meter, 1 meter, and then move it over here. Whatever you cite here, you should also.
It might be 1100. It might be 1.1, and then the other one will be 1. And you turn 180 degrees to your next pole and mark it at 1.1 meters.
Yeah, 1.1, 1.1, or 1.3,
Yeah.
1.3. You know, like all of these 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the same. Now, presuming they're not, because the land's up and down, the difference between them will always be the same when you make the transition, right? It will show that these lines are parallel, even if the ground isn't, and that's how you can tell.
Yeah, but I thought you said the ground was level.
Yeah, that's what, like I was saying, like in this circumstance that we set up for George, yes. I'm just saying that if it wasn't level, taking these readings, you'd still be able to tell that you've set it up right. With both of these readings, if you got from here to here, you would definitely know, because you've got 2 posts, whether you've done a mistake. If you've only got 1 post, right, you're only ever going to know by the time you loop back and check your accuracy at the end. But
that's the purpose, isn't it, of the double rod? Yeah.
The double rodding shows you it's
exactly.
accurate.
Therefore, those first 2 measurements you got are different. That's the problem, right? So you start there and go, right, you know, that's something's accurate. Like, it's not 0.
The problem with it
wrong.
is that he has got different readings, but they're different in the opposite direction. I mean, these readings, these numbers here, show that your auto level is going the other way.
Yeah.
I've got
my
videos coming out, so I've got to do a bit of promotion on the video for a minute. So George has put a picture up.
Okay, Bev.
Okay.
You ready?
You all right, George?
Hi there, Mr. Australia. I assume you're in Australia.
Not the last time I checked. I have been there, but not right now.
Okay. Hang on, Bev. I've got to turn the furnace off. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys with the blower on.
Right, I've got a premiere out if anyone can share these links out for us to the places that I can't get to. Especially Blues. I'm sure Blue would love to see this one. Well, that puts it at the right time, doesn't it? That's when Blue was doing the PhD Tony in the seismographic blunder in his server.
Okay. Now,
dates it, doesn't it?
On this diagram, let's look at the top part first. Forget about the bottom at the moment. is I have an auto level set up on the curved earth, and the auto level is shooting a horizontal line. Okay, that's the red line. No matter how I look from the auto level, the surface is curved away from me. It doesn't matter what direction I look, the auto level sees the earth curving away. That's what happens on the curved earth. So from
what
the
about if the
perspective,
land rises?
no, the land is, oh God.
Oh,
We're on a level surface. We're on the surface of water. Forget about land topography. Our scenario is we're on level surface, smooth
all right.
surface
So
of
you're
water.
assuming that the surface floats away, right?
The surface floats away.
Yeah, well, you're saying level like means like something different to me than it does you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What's wrong with you guys? We initially
come on,
started.
Mate.
Okay.
Bricklayer. Yeah? Level is horizontal.
Oh, wonderful.
Right. Well, what are you trying to tell me? That it's not? I'm George, but like you're making it out like there's something wrong with us.
It's like horizontal there in your picture, George. Is that in the middle
hey,
there? Is that horizontal?
Bev, we've been at this a half an hour. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. After that, I'm out of here. So if you guys are going to keep interrupting me,
I'll keep
not going to
quiet.
happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Okay. 15 minutes. If I don't get done in 15 minutes, I'll never get done.
Well, that'll do because I've got a video on, George.
All right.
I've got a premiere.
Now, okay, on the top diagram, I'm showing you curved level surface on the earth. This is the surface of water. Okay. Now, we have our auto level sitting there, and we're shooting a horizontal line out. So, on the curved earth.
Okay, so that's what he makes it specific that's what he's talking about, right? Because that's what you're looking at. He did say at the beginning that, like in reality, everything works fine and we don't need to deal with that. He's not talking about reality. He's talking about something different. I think he's doing a good job myself. All three of these things occur at the same time on George's reality.
Everything looks like it's falling away from the auto level. That is the consequence of being on a curved earth. I don't care if you guys think we're on flat or a flat earth, and level and horizontal are the same thing. That's immaterial. We're talking about a curved earth here, and for you to understand how the curved earth works.
You think he got paid for how many times he said curved? Because he's about to...
Okay, if you're going to fucking laugh, I'm out of here. Jesus Christ, Bev.
You're just telling us you don't care about level being horizontal. That's not an issue. But we are definitely on a curved earth. Like, level is curved, you're saying, right?
Yes, it is.
Right, there you go. So you don't care about one, but you do care about the other. That's
No,
what
I'm saying I'm saying we're not going over that scenario right now. We're going over the scenario of a curved earth and the fact that level is following the curved earth. The surface of water is curved on the curved earth. That's the scenario we're going with. That's what you have to understand in order so we can get through to show you the errors you're making and why your conclusions are wrong and why the method you're using is not going to detect the earth curvature because you don't have enough resolution in your auto level and your range poles to detect the earth curvature in the double rod differential leveling scheme. It's impossible with the equipment you're using to detect the curved earth.
As he draws these pictures showing that it's definitely measurable, giving us numbers, showing us that there are numbers changing when he calculates it, but then saying you can't do it. What's going on in the minds of people? Either you can do it or you can't do it. And there are very, very exact ways of doing these jobs, and there are very, very good tools that can do this sort of stuff. So I'm not too sure what George is talking about. Unless he's talking about doing it in reality and then doing it this one, because obviously it's impossible.
In reality, you can't see it.
Yeah, it's not there in reality.
Not
That's
there in
right. You
reality.
can't measure it.
That's why.
Mm.
Yeah. But it's there. Trust me. We do the calculation. We do a little MS Paint thing. We put the numbers all on there. Trust me, it's there, but you can't see it.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it at the side. I've got a double rodded. Like it's a definitely real process that goes on in reality. Double rodding for accuracy. Mainly, it costs twice as much, so you'd be wanting to get a benefit from it. And look at George drawing his little drawings. It's fascinating. Fascinating. And he's
That's what I'm getting at. That's where I'm leading to.
So what that method that you've just shown us there, then that shows that your auto level's knackered, right?
The auto level doesn't have enough resolution. It's accurate within its accuracy within the resolving power it has. You can't resolve any better than 1 arcsecond. In order to make these measurements at 75 meters, you're going to have an auto level that can resolve better than 1 arcsecond. Be able to set your crosshairs to better than 1 arcsecond. That's the issue we're faced with.
They don't do it. They do not do angles. It's an auto level job.
I told you, no, you're not doing angles, but when you're looking through your auto level and you in a sense are looking at angles when somebody is moving their range pole up and down, you're trying to get them to center the graduation, or you're trying to read the graduation. How accurately can you read that graduation? You can move your eye a little bit or sight on the crosshair. The thickness of the crosshair is about 2 arcseconds thickness. That's what.
There you go. Favorite of George's. Thickness of 2 arcseconds. Does that sound like somebody turning an angle into a distance? It's definitely a dimension. Thickness. So that means it would be measurable on a straight line. Yet George is calling an angle a thickness.
Thick angle.
Mm. It's the opposite side angle, isn't it? It's the opposite side to the angle. Ruhif. You can call with an angle, but yet George is trying to equate it to the thickness of the crosshair.
It blocks out in your image. You have to be able to. Oh, shut up! You have to be able to resolve or find that graduation within the cross.
It's very nice, George, isn't he? Very accommodating. It's definitely not George. Everything that's going on here will be us.
Here, you have to center up the center of the graduation to the center of the crosshair. How good can you do that? Most people can't do it with a 1 arcsecond auto level to better than 1 arcsecond at best. And you have to be able to do it within tenths of an arcsecond. You don't have that capability with your equipment. That's why you're not seeing the Earth curvature, because it gets swamped out by the capability of your being able to center up your auto level with your range pole to make that accurate reading on your range pole.
It's just a simple double rodding process, though, George, right?
Yes, but you have to accurately be able to read your graduations, and you can't do it to the resolution or to the accuracy to which we need to go. We need to do it within millimeters out of 75 meters. You can't do it with your equipment.
Well, let's
That's
say,
why you are
George,
concluding everything's horizontal.
Let's say we've got a precision level, right? Let's say we've got a precision level. right?
Well, then the numbers I gave you
And
are
then,
accurate.
then we
That's
are
what
going
you
to
get.
do, George, we are going to do a 2-peg test. You know how those work?
You know I know how that works.
Right, well,
Come on, quit
what's the
asking.
furthest distance we can get away from each other without noticing the curve of the Earth? Without mentioning the curve of the level underneath? Because surely you'd be thinking you're making mistakes. You think your level would be knackered all the time, really.
No. When you do a double peg test, the curve of the Earth is taken out because you're shooting equidistance on a foresight and backsight onto your 2 pegs. So those 2 marks that you put on your pegs are guaranteed to be at the same elevation.
Are you
don't
sure you
care.
know what a 2-peg test is, George?
Oh, fuck you. You know I do. I described it to you yesterday.
Well, then, in that case, you know, George.
Quit being so goddamn condescending. I'm really tired of this shit.
In that
Jeff, the
case,
way
then,
you treat
George,
people.
you would know that you move the auto level to close to one of the posts. The 2 pegs. You move the auto level to one of the posts.
After you set up your first 2 marks at the same elevation.
And that's
then
why
move
you
your
check.
auto level.
You check. You're doing this method, the double rodding, in order to make sure your equipment is horizontal, George.
Yes, and when you're using the 2-peg test, in order to ensure that Earth curve is not affecting you, say with a 1 arcsecond auto level, you do your 2-peg test
measure
so that the
angles, George. Stop saying it's an arcsecond. They don't measure angles, George.
I didn't say angles. Shut up. I didn't mention
What's an
angles.
arcsecond, George?
Oh, God.
What's an arcsecond, George?
That is the accuracy of which the compensator.
What is
is
it,
the
George? What is an arcsecond?
Oh, fuck.
Is it an angle, George?
It's an angle. It's
That
the angular
the auto
accuracy.
level does
Okay.
not measure.
It's not a measurement of an angle in the auto level. What the arcsecond means in an auto level is how accurately the compensator sets itself with respect to horizontal.
See, George was big on setting stuff up, but I don't know whether you noticed. George doesn't actually know how a 2-peg test works. And according to this, what you've just been shown about how awkward the double rodding is for differential leveling, the 2-peg test, once you know how the 2-peg test works, you find out that it contradicts George again. The very procedure for checking the auto level is what ends up doing them. I hope one of the Blue Marble scientists comes and sees this.
He didn't even hear you when you said you have to move the auto level to one of the closer poles or pegs.
Yeah.
And then sight back again to make sure that you've tested it to make sure it's horizontal.
Yeah, he's told us that he
should see it be
calibrated
off.
them. And I know for a fact that George can't know how to do a 2-peg test. Because it's one of those ECV things. It's just too much.
Was he claiming that if you did move the auto level and you were at 150 meters instead of 75 meters each direction, that he would claim that you wouldn't see it? Was that his? It's there, trust me, but you can't see it.
If you have equal spacings, then they should be equal, right?
Yes.
He says it drops out. But as
Correct.
you saw earlier, he had different measurements because one was at 75 and one was at 150.
Right.
So that shows that it doesn't drop out if they're not equal. And what I asked him about was the 2-peg test, because I know that once you do it equal, you then change it to unequal and then check them.
Right.
And so I give him the scenario of a most accurate auto level and the 2-peg test, to which George would say, you can measure it. It
Right, you should
is
be able to see it.
available, yeah. from what George has said, if anybody's listening, whether anybody cares or not, you are able, if you get a precision auto level, I think they cost about £3,000, and it's not even worth doing a GoFundMe for it, right? Because that's not how they work. Everybody knows this. But yeah, if you get a precision auto level and get a precision parallel plate system that you put on the top, strange that it's called parallel plate, to make it more accurate. But yeah, you can read these numbers according to George, and there should be a difference. You can get water levels that do it, but I mean, we're specifically talking about optics, something that's easily checkable from anybody, right? Any surveyor would know about this and would be able to go over this. I mean, don't go hassling surveyors about it, right? Just, it's a geometric process that you can work out in your mind very easily. I'm going to be doing some graphics and all of that soon, hopefully, to explain all of this.
Funny enough, don't they say you can't see the difference in the water level either in your Euclid test? You wouldn't be able to see the difference in the water level. Isn't that the claim? Just like you can't see the difference that George is talking about?
Yeah,
Trust us, it's there, but you can't see it.
The Ruhif numbers, I'll go back and show you those after this is finished. Because we've got we've got many people have checked these numbers that George has done. Maybe a calculation, if you want to call them calculations, but they want to call them measurements. Jessica Zlowski said this is measurable. None of them have ever done it. George is trying to tell me that my equipment isn't good enough for me to be able to do it. I'm not looking to do it. It doesn't bother me. I've got epot. I know how it's done in reality, and that's good enough for me. I'm not trying to prove anything. This doesn't prove anything.
Good enough for every other surveyor as well, apparently.
Yeah,
I mean, regular land surveyor.
Well, Well,
not
local.
a blue marble science surveyor.
Yeah, local surveyors. Anybody who's surveying locally would use these methods, not the methods that George is doing, obviously.
If I may interject, from what George said, for me, it seems that if you are measuring straight level and straight horizontal, then you cannot measure it. But if you are on dogmatic model, then you can measure.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, the numbers are there to be measured on one model, and they're not there on another model. Everything works out fine, he said, on the, I call that the reality model, the real globe. But this is George's idea. Well, I mean, he's not really. He's laid out a paralogism for a lot of people, but I think they've forgotten about him. It's a shame, really, because George worked hard to do all of this. He was the team mathematician for the Blue Marble scientists. Even, what's he called? That other guy, the one that's done the calculator. The one that makes models, not Stingray, the other one.
Walter
Bislin. Yeah, Walter Bislin's took all of George's stuff. It's all Walter Bislin's now. It's, George is gone. They've tried to get rid of him. It's Walter Bislin's Rainy Lake. Did you know that? I've had it handed us to a couple of times. The video. Since. That's a shame. Since I think this is George's legacy. Trying to solve the horizontal paradox.
Always some errors. It says that when you have a 1 arcsecond auto level, that the compensator is moving that crosshair in the radicule that you see in your eyepiece to within 1 arcsecond of true horizontal. That's what it means. We're not measuring an angle. It just says how accurately is that crosshair in the radicule deviating from true horizontal. It could be off as much as 1 arcsecond. That's what it means.
How would you know it's going to be off 1 arc second when you've got a
That's
device
the
that doesn't
accuracy of the
measure
instrument. That's
angles?
the accuracy of the instrument, and you check it with a 2
Why is the
test.
accuracy of an instrument that doesn't measure angles measured in angle accuracy?
Ask the math manufacturer. Don't ask me. Okay.
I've never heard of that. I've only ever heard you mention that, George. I know it's 1 millimeter over a 1 kilometer double run.
You didn't know. The other day, you didn't know how theodolites work. You didn't know anything about collimation.
That's
you
what you.
That's
what you assume, George. That's what you assume.
You don't know shit about your equipment.
Right.
You have no idea how an auto level works.
You seem
I
to
know
be
that from
obfuscating
previous
in a minute,
discussions.
George.
No, you don't know anything about the equipment. You come on here acting like you're some goddamn.
You come on here. See, George, what's happened? Like, why did George flip like this? What's going on? He's just been exposed for not knowing what a 2-peg test is.
Yeah, and for claiming that an auto level somehow can measure to an arc second when it's not an angled measuring device. So there's that.
Oh yeah, sorry, Kev. The missus just came down. I missed that.
I said he may have also been angry because you were challenging him on the fact that an auto level tool does not measure angles. And he kept saying arc second and admitted an arc second is an angle.
Yeah.
So clearly he was upset that he knew better than you that apparently an auto level somehow measures arc seconds.
I think it's because really he had to get out because he's just been shown that his misunderstanding of the 2-peg test would have invalidated his whole idea of setting the horizontal and not being able to measure the curve.
Yeah, sounds like it to me as well. He needed to get out, and actually it's towards the end of the video, right? So it's not too much longer.
Yeah, it's
where he goes.
We're nearly there, yeah.
Hmm?
You came here, George.
Surveyor, and you don't know shit. You've never taken.
You came here, George.
Never mind, Bev. This is not going to go anywhere. I can see that because you just don't understand the equipment and what specifications
George,
mean
you're saying
on
he
this
doesn't.
equipment.
Yeah, he's shown a certificate that he's
He
done
got some
surveying.
certificate from secondary school. That's not a surveying.
No, he's at college, mate. What are you on about?
He's just listened to the trolls. Don't worry about it.
Like, literally, why don't you ask? You ask Bev, like, where he got his certificate. I don't know. You can't just say that. He doesn't say that about what you know, does he? Like, what are your certificates? What have you got? And we'll just say that you haven't got them.
He hasn't got any surveying stuff. He's told us. I mean, none of them have you, George?
I'm a professional engineer. I have what's... never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Jesus
No,
Christ.
none, George. It's okay. I mean, this is pretty
If you
simple.
want
This
to
is
know-
basic
Okay,
geometric
translate,
principles, George.
Bev,
On the back, Bev up there with the... I've seen him use...
Bev, will you shut this guy up? I can't talk to you both at the same time. Will you shut this on the right line up? Shut him up. Okay, well, I'm going to set him to 0 so I can talk to you, Bev.
No, George, I'm going to set you to 0 because he's saying something. Can you
I don't
please let
I'm not
him,
listening to
George?
him anymore.
Can you
I'm not
please
gonna
let
listen.
him talk?
This discussion
George.
is going to be between you and me and
George,
no one else.
do not
If it
come
can't
in
be-
here and dictate this bullshit again.
Well,
we
this
don't want
conversation-
Snowflake George
this
here.
conversation, Bev,
George.
This conversation is either going to be between you or
All
I.
right, well, I'm not telling people who come in here all the time to
Okay.
stop talking
Well,
because Snowflake
good
George
luck.
is here.
Good luck.
You're
Good
old
luck.
enough now, George.
Especially he's saying that you've you've got no idea about the equipment. Especially, he said about the auto level he's got.
Yeah.
Bye, George.
I think that might be the last time we ever got a chance to talk to George, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, like,
It's fucking outrageous, isn't it?
well, yeah, because he has to. That's the narrative he has to push. This is getting ridiculous at the time now. I mean, that was pretty obvious that he doesn't know anything about differential leveling. He's never done it. He doesn't understand the principles of it. He just showed us he didn't have a clue what a two-peg test was. Because if you move a two-peg, if you move your auto level to one side, according to him, the further one away drops, which would invalidate your two-peg test. They've never looked at this at all.
I mean, yeah, I mean, 75, 150 meters. You know, you should be able to get that within that 1 millimeter. And, you know, I can't see why you would ever have to add anything to either of those measurements. It's just, it is what it is. Awesome. As long as you've done the two-peg test, you all know this, but...
He's just got the land sloping in both directions. But thinking
Exactly.
it's
I mean, like,
level.
but the land isn't sloping though, is it?
No, but you see the picture he came back with?
Yeah.
Literally, he lifted the horizontals upwards.
Did George?
We used to get on quite well.
Actually, sorry.
I
was just asking if George actually revealed like what tools would Earth curve be detectable with?
Well, we didn't get there because it got triggered. But I mean, yeah, we just get longer water levels and use this very principle.
I mean, he's saying that with differential leveling and the tools that you're using, Bev, you wouldn't detect it. So what tools would you be able to detect it with?
We did say
What
he
method,
said you
what
could
tool?
detect it. Like he showed us there, 1 millimeter. If it's there to be measured, you can measure it, guaranteed. Like if there's a drop, then you can measure it. There's tools out there. George is not thinking about what surveyors do.
Yeah, I think he's a little insane.
Yeah.
Personally, because when we were trying to establish, like when he had that one diagram where he's got the curve and he's got the different points along that curve, he was saying that you measure the height of the auto level or instrument, whatever, and then you make a mark at that height at the first pole. You go past that pole, backside it, and line up your tool to that mark. And then you go and you keep on doing that procedure, 7 whatever. And I said, so all you're doing is transferring the elevation of your instrument. You're not actually measuring the elevation of the ground underneath the instrument. He's like, no, I'm like, you just described how you would keep that same elevation off of the ground that your instrument is. You're not doing anything else. I don't know.
It's literally,
there.
you are using the tool to set a horizontal. You are using that horizontal as the reference frame, and making a note of where that is every time. Mathematical procedure.
I'm sure I heard George say when you do the two-peg test, you get the horizontal, but it doesn't work when you do the two-rod test.
Yeah.
So he contradicted himself.
Well, according to George, when you do the two-peg test, you should see the drop because you are offsetting the level. Whereas when you do it like he assumes you do it, and it cancels it out if they're equal. Well, this one puts a 75 versus a 150 on the other side. But George forgets that it's the height of the tool that you're using. That is the datum every time. It's the height of the tool in the middle that you're using. But yet you're referencing that height of the tool in the middle from your datum, however far away. it doesn't quite work. Oh, you guys. Look at George. He has no interest in talking to anybody else but me. Just me. George doesn't want to talk to you guys. None of you.
So sweet.
Just me. But this server is a piece of crap. Maybe we could get a little private server for me and George.
Sweet on you, Bev.
Yeah, I think you might want that. See if you
You
can
like
set
F
up
you to F off.
Bev and
F
George
you,
server.
F you.
Bev and George in a Discord server. Hey, it could be good. You guys will never know what we're talking about.
George will be start growing a beard soon.
3 years. It doesn't have 3 years to get it through. You guys, you don't understand what's going on. Okay. George doesn't have 3 years to deal with it. It's a shame, really, because that, I think, was the last time we ever had a chance to talk to George. Shame, really. Thank you, George. Double rodding. It's an actual surveying procedure. How's everybody been fooled by people? How do people get fooled by people?
I would say there's too many people that let somebody else drive the bus and not even look at what the bus driver is talking about.
Well, we have to point out that this does not prove anything. This is just a surveying procedure that is done in reality. Right? And surveying, strangely enough, differential leveling, is for measuring elevation changes. Also proves that the Earth's not flat. So it definitely doesn't prove a flat Earth, because it proves that the Earth is not flat. It's just a process that's done in everyday surveying. Just George that had a problem with it. Well, no, maybe not just George. But, I mean, please don't go out there acting like you're a surveying specialist. It's just a process for you to work out in your mind how it's done. And how it would be done were you to do it in reality. Like, say, along the side of a canal. How long you could go with this shared straight line segment. And the troubles it causes. Okay, so that double rodding. I'm gonna have to do a short video on how to do this sort of stuff and how these procedures work, because people have been calling me all sorts of stuff over the past years, not really understanding what I've been saying. So we've had conversations to try and discover what people are actually saying when they communicate with us. So we've not really stuck up for the obvious reality, because I didn't think it was necessary to, you know, point out the obvious. I was hoping people would see the obvious, but I guess now we have to go into mathematics and stuff, logic, show people logical procedures of how things happen. Now, but with the benefit of epoche, because it's fine to know how things actually happen, but any extension of that how do you know? What are you saying? Well, nothing really, other than the fact that this is how things work in reality. As long as people are okay with understanding how reality works, then it's going to be okay. But if people aren't bothered, then it's not much use. Nobody's going to look at it. But that's what I'll be doing. I'll be making some short videos, logical arguments. Logical arguments, simple logical arguments, make you think. I don't know what to go into now, guys. That was the double rodding. I don't know whether anybody's got any other things to say about it. I'm guessing it's one of those things where people either see it or they don't see it. And whether you do see it, what does that mean? It is just reality. There may be a battle raging somewhere else, but I think we're out of it. We're not part of that battle now. And this definitely isn't part of that battle. This is just about reality. And reality isn't part of the battle that's going on, that's raging. It exists outside of that realm. And I'm thankful. I think everybody can see now that unless we've got some mods blocking them all, but we're troll free. How did that happen? How did that occur? I'll tell you how it occurred. It occurred by talking about reality and making sure that the Blue Marble scientists are very aware that they cannot talk about reality. They can't even troll it. That's how bad it is. We're not flat earthers. I'm not a flat earther. And that's why we haven't got anybody trolling us. Because you can't troll reality. Not even for a Blue Marble science background. And especially seeing as there are no people that have been trained within this particular argument. You can't be trained in this particular argument. Geometric argument, logical argument. There is no counter to real arguments. Deductive logic. You can't just sweep it under the carpet and pretend it's not there. It doesn't go anywhere.
One can try, but won't do any good. It'll take you to madness. We've seen it.
Yep. The nut sacking.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you are willing to let the model dictate what reality has to do in the face of observable reality.
Especially when many of us that are not flat earthers, including me, have said, what does it matter? What does it matter? That idiotic argument. When you see what's going on in reality today, what does that matter? Maybe looking back at first principles matters more. Maybe looking back at what has happened to logic and reason and rhetoric, the trivium. Maybe looking back at why there's not real classical education anymore. Maybe looking back at why we've lost the tools of learning. Maybe trying to not repeat that for our children and our grandchildren might be a much more worthy endeavor than talking about the shape of the freaking thing we stand upon. But that's just me.
Yeah, it is measurable as well. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Once you know how it is actually measurable, and you will learn that through double rodding, right? It's a first principle of surveying, isn't it? It is, because you have to do the 2-peg test, which is essentially a double rodding procedure, in order to establish that you know what you're starting with. Your base start is a geometric check that George has just told us doesn't work on a curve.
Mm-hmm. It's a geometric check, which George said at the very beginning of this. Well, of course it's, when you asked him, well, this is Euclidean, right? Well, of course it's Euclidean. Of course it is. And yet here you are after, and what we've learned, of course, is Euclid leads to the logic and the reason, and you can't escape it. You just can't escape it. But that's why, as Bev says, there's no one here.
Yeah, it
Well, no trolls
doesn't
here anyway.
necessarily need defending. It's like we're like a mathematics channel now. Logic. Right? No drama. At least not at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
Just after realism. And I'm guessing that, low viewer count. Thank you very much for being here. Don't know how many of you are actually genuine, or how many still hate watching. I would imagine there can't be any, really, because what do you do? How do you even address that? How can you even see that as your starting base? You've got to realize you're not in a good position. All blue marble and all of that, they left George on his own after that.
Yep.
George went straight to blue marble science.
Yep.
Help him out.
One of our folks, though, did reach out to George, tried to strike up a relationship with George.
I tried.
Interesting.
Yeah, he kept coming round here. He really enjoyed coming round here for some reason. Although he says he hated it, and he didn't really like us. It's as though somebody kept pushing him over here to come and talk. And now that George is gone, there is nobody else left. There's nobody to come and, I don't know, convince us of something. I don't know. George definitely wasn't completely talking about reality and how these things work in reality.
Right. Yeah, we had one of the, maybe the last blue marble scientist today leave the server.
Yeah, Darren, the last of the Aussie blue marble scientists. But I mean, what do they do? The best thing that they can do is pretend it's not happened. Pretend we're not here. Say, I'm not putting a cape on and fighting for anything. It doesn't prove anything. It was these guys that placed us here in the first place. Brought us in. Called us names for years. Told everybody I'm a liar. I've got a hard job trying to pull that name back again, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
And what these guys have done to me.
When you said the whole time, ever since I've known you, every video I've ever listened to, that you're not a flat earther.
Yeah.
Not a flat earther. Interested in first principles. We found the words, right? We found the lost words. So we have epohe now that we didn't know before, but we're trying to get there. So epohe.
Yeah.
Which we reserve judgment. We withhold our assent. That's epohe. Withhold your assent from what? From the shape of the earth discussion, because you cannot know.
Yeah, from dogma. Anything dogmatic. Somebody tells you something that you have to believe. You go, why? You've got no proof for it. Why do I have to?
Everyone else believes it. Yeah. Everyone else believes it, Bev. But at the same time, everyone else that believes what it would you say? Well, that the earth is it's this ball. At the same time, everybody else, everybody else is out there. If you showed them a spirit level, and you said is level horizontal. So what position is that? What orientation is that level when you lay it on something and you make it level? All of those same people are going to say, well, yeah, of course that's horizontal. Why are you even asking me that question? What, are you stupid? Conflict, the contradiction.
Yeah,
How do you
that's the
handle it?
thing. Somebody says that there is no argument. Well, there is an argument to
there is an
have,
argument.
because if you can show people the contradiction that they're not aware of, then within an argument form, then you've got two choices. They have to go with the dogma or find epoche. Right? You step back from dogma once you realize there's the contradiction. How do you solve it? That's the point.
Gord's has
people, most people aren't aware of the contradiction.
Yeah, Gord's has it in the YouTube chat. He says you realize fast that there's much you don't know all of a sudden. Yes. And the idea that you either are okay with that epoche, or it's going to drive you mad. Has no choice but to drive you mad. You see these people in this arena. They're mad. Both sides of the false dichotomy. Just madness.
Yeah, there is. Once you realize that you've took on a lot of dogma, and just shedding the dogma, sometimes it's freeing, because then you at least can start learning for yourself. You can, but I guess it's frightening at the same time as well, because there's a lot of stuff to get rid of. I don't choose to call them lies, right? That's a bad way of looking at it, because you can hold a lot of resentment if you call them lies. If you realize that people may have told you paralogies, they're just, it's something they've been told that they hold as a truth. They don't necessarily know they're lies. Some people. Well, yeah, you just sort of, you can put it to one side then. Epoche is a lot easier to take on. As long as you see how inherent all of this stuff is. I think Plato's Cave and the Republic. Once you realize that a long, long time ago, this sort of stuff was built upon a lie. Well, that lie's been forgotten. It's been placed into dogma. So is that really a lie? A lie's intentional, and perhaps they don't know about it. There's got to be a change. And, well, there is for me, at least. That's what's coming up. Start of April. I'm going to be starting up the channel for myself. Try Thinking will become Try Thinking, rather than... well, it is already Try Thinking, isn't it? But what I've been doing is I've been learning. I've been gathering together a group of people, like minds. And we have learned a lot. I have learned a lot. And I think it's about time for me to pass that on with the help of the people that we have here. But I've found that I end up talking a lot, so it's going to be more centered around probably my opinions more so, and the things that I've learned whilst I've been around here. Whether that's going to be interesting to people or not, I don't know. going back to learn the, like Kevin said, the lost tools of learning, how we can learn and teach for ourselves. Do both together, communicate better. Think if you know what you cannot know, that's the secret. Or just knowing that there are some things that you cannot know and being okay with that. Then it becomes easier to put things in that particular box.
Right. And people can do it, right? Use the example of pi. No
Yeah.
one seems put out that you can't get to the last decimal point of pi. They just take it as, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
good. There we go. Why is that not the case with everything that you cannot know?
Yeah.
I think it is the paracosms, right? The shadow giants, the things you've been given.
Yeah, Bacon's got a lot
Mm.
a lot to answer for. But I mean, was it him? Was he just sort of a pawn to push something that was then used by everybody else? I mean, he died penniless. He didn't lead a great army for it. He got ill and died. Depends what you're after in all of this. I hope that people are after, well, I hope that people haven't been following us so we can lead a charge against something, because reality is what reality is. And we are just normal people. There's no way any of us are putting capes on and going and doing anything. We can only deal with ourselves. Yeah, Thomas, if you see what's going on, then how much does it really matter? Just deal with yourselves. It might upset people about the us not putting the cape on. We do what we can.
Get in the fight, right? Put the cape on. That's what they want.
We just deal with reality. Yeah. We're not bothered about the shape. I know how they actually measure all of the land. It's what I did for 2 years, is surveying it, you know. It was a big part of the course I did. No point did anybody ever bring in the shape of the earth. Only in this particular little arena that we seem to have ended up in. And then anybody that says, oh, you're not bothered about the fight, I don't know. We're fighting for what?
Yeah, for what? For shape?
It is. That's it. There's nothing. But what is good, where I have made the most gains is by going back to first principles and finding this stuff out for myself, seeing how simple it all is. And that a lot of the troubles that are brought around in modern day life are brought around because we've lost the first principles of all sorts of different things. One of them being, the main one though I think that we need to deal with, is how to communicate. And I know you can't communicate with everyone, but we need to be able to find people that we can communicate with. we have found a group here on Discord, on the level Discord. So this is the place to be if you want to think that you can come and communicate with us. Because that's where the learning happens. Once we start communicating, we were saying it even today. Some of the discussions that we've been over and been through whilst listening to other discussions that we've just had is a learning experience. For me. I guess there's not much drama involved in it. Anyway. Yeah, we're not going to be exploring shape of Earth because it's ridiculous. If you want to know about proofs, level is horizontal, realizing Euclid, 2 peg tests, double rodding.
First principles, logic, reason, history. We'll be getting big into history.
Ooh, well, you have to. In order to find first principles, you go back in history to find who's used the first principles and how they've changed and how they've attempted to change. Yeah, we have people all like that all the time. See, I think where people go wrong, they like to tie names to certain things. Whereas the first principles don't have names associated to them. They just are. They turn out that they're self-evident and anybody can get back to them. But in order to get back to the first principles of anything, what you need to do is you need to release all of the dogma that's stopping you from getting back there. And that's sometimes has been built into people's minds. So they are unable to go back. It shows ECV's one of the big things that we're going to be finding. You can't talk to people with ECV. And you'll be able to see where it happens. George couldn't go and understand the 2 peg test. He couldn't even ask us what the 2 peg test was. His brain has already told him that don't access that part of your brain. It'd be too much. That's why we are troll free. They can't cope with it. Certain thing with Nathan Oakley and the you can do fuck all with an angle. He doesn't want to access that. 10th man, QE, they don't want any of it. They've got their own dogma. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Kevin. Euclid. Euclid is a geometry book, right? It's a first principles geometry, but it's a logic book. It's a way of storing a perfect logical system, an axiomatic system, and containing it and showing like that there is logic, perfect logic. Can't be denied, can't be disproved. You can't get around it. Every single bit of it flows. And if you do happen to change one piece of it anywhere, the whole thing crumbles. Explode it. So it's there as like a time capsule to let everybody know.
And as we talked about today, right, it doesn't take a lot for one person in history to undo 1,600 years worth of logic and reason.
Yeah.
Just takes a couple of people. Maybe a guy named Machiavelli, maybe a guy named Bacon, maybe a few guys down the road named Hume,
Nietzsche,
Descartes, Nietzsche, Derrida, most recently Foucault.
But that's what
Guys
they've
like
done.
these.
I can see it now, right? Bacon said, well, new logic's just going to do away with deductive logic. We're going to go straight into inductive. I had a couple of debates with people, made some arguments, deductive arguments, laid them out as syllogisms so they could understand them, and straight over their heads, they didn't even see it. That trick that Bacon did has made people not be able to see the syllogism for what it is. They just don't exist. They're not arguments according to the new science. It becomes so obvious, doesn't it? Sorry, go on.
So they have to just ignore syllogism. Because they have to accept it or ignore. There is no other way for them.
I think it's ECV, isn't it? They just have to sort of blanket, pretend it's not there.
Yes, because they cannot disprove this syllogism. If it is correct and true, you cannot disprove it. So you can only ignore it. But this is not discussion. Discussion is not about ignoring opponent. So, in fact, there is no discussion, in effect.
Yeah, when Blue Marble completely disregarded the two arguments that are set up for him in the debate, he just completely ignored them. So that let me know that even the most basic of syllogisms, the ones that are axiomated within mathematics, if you follow them as closely, Blue Marble scientists won't see them. The simplest argument that you can make will not be seen by, I don't know, it depends. I would say Blue Marble scientists, but it appears that nobody within the Earth shape argument can see simple syllogisms, and that's strange. It was strange to me, but now it's just modern day. They've just simply got rid of logic. The old, ancient logic. Busters sang the songs of wisdom and, you know, of the days of old. You will find the truth in the things of old. Well, not anymore. It's gone. Modern day says, no, there is no truth. There is no proof. There's nothing left anymore. We're just going to keep arguing, circular arguments round and round, getting nowhere. That was a good one as well yesterday. Flat fact. If you didn't see yesterday, wait till... Oh, you're going to have to... The Bacon one. I think that's pretty crucial, right? Crucial in my understanding of modern day people and how you can possibly could communicate with anyone. We're going to have to
Bacon
do that.
just introduced nonsense in place of logic. So
I think he just disregarded the deductive, because even Aristotle said, right, that once you go into inductive, then there is no real way of knowing a proof. You're talking about statistics and means, averages within a band or whatever, you know.
Yes,
probability.
Average and statistics, first, Aristotle is not knowledge.
Yeah.
Because,
and he knew that, didn't he? He said, like, it's sort of, it's close. You can get around about, but deductive is where it's at. That's what you focus on, because that's where you gain your proofs and truths.
Yes, because your knowledge for him, the best knowledge is knowing why. So the cause. If you know the cause, you have knowledge, true knowledge. But this is deductive thinking, not inductive. You are not inducing a cause to do something to have effect, because you already know effect. But somehow Bacon is trying to reverse that process to, from known cause, obtain different effect, which is crazy. Just crazy. Because it is uncertain for him that this effect should occur. Because if we know that given cause causes this effect always, we don't need to make induction anymore in thinking. We may do things like inventions, but this is not gaining knowledge anymore. So what Bacon did is just, for me, trying to replace induction, replace deduction with induction, to change causation, to change
I don't think
logic
he
of
didn't
the word.
replace it, did he? Because induction was already there. He just removes deduction, right? And anything deductive, the syllogism, just get rid of it. And
yeah, for me, this is just because if you are talking about statistics and probability, it means that he is trying to replace certain knowledge, because knowing cause for Aristotle was certain knowledge, replaced this certain knowledge with uncertain knowledge. So this is, for me, insane.
But the promise of technology to make that uncertain knowledge uncertain.
Yes, but technology is not a science. But so for me, that would be utilitarianism, because so to make inventions, to make maybe our life easier with technology, but this is maybe his idea for people to be more happy. This is quite opposite, of course, to Aristotle. But maybe this is this new modern thought that don't philosophize, because it is pointless. Be happy in other way. Just to make new toys? I don't know. But it seems like that for me.
Thank you very much, Gadget. Was that Gadget? Yeah, it was. Thank you very much. And thank you very much from all of the people that are going to be members. There is a members only list, so you will be able to listen to these philosophy things. Whether that's your sort of thing or not, don't know. It's much better to come in and get involved with the philosophy stuff, because I think you'll find that philosophy is how people's minds are swayed, and the the philosophical times are what sways the masses. Having a bit of knowledge above that, or a better way of saying, and you don't want to say too much, but I mean, it's better if you are able to control your own thoughts than be allowed other people to control them for you. And especially if you listen to the one that's coming tomorrow, we'll be out live around similar sort of time, 4 o'clock UK. You will see that Bacon did some terrible things, really. But I mean, the consequences of what Bacon did is being seen, whether that was already there. You know, whether there are people that don't understand logic. What I consider me coming here, I was already a logical mind, right? A free-form logical mind, because I had a model taken away from me. I had to do this on my own. But since coming here and meeting the people within this Discord server, particularly, I've had that sharpened. It's been honed by conversations that we've had, by epiphanies gained. All of that stuff helps sharpen your mind. And I think the only way to do it really is to test yourself. And the only way you can do that is to test yourself. I don't know whether people do it scholastically. They test themselves with remembering things, being able to do equations, all of that sort of stuff. Or I chose to test myself vocally. That was the one thing that I never really done. I'd been a bit of an introvert, not talked to many people.
They did both. So scholastic is just about arguments, logic, knowledge, science. It really doesn't matter if it is vocalized or written, because in ancient times and in medieval times and later also, many people just discussed things, writing letters to each other, which is really unknown nowadays. But very often they just wrote letters for
Yeah,
years.
Pen pals. I can remember doing that anyway. When I was at school, I don't know whether it still occurs nowadays or whether it just happens in tablets. I mean, people are still talking to each other, aren't they? But I mean, for me personally, it's what I wanted to be able to do. I had questions and I needed to be able to talk to people in order to ask them questions. Now, those questions are still there. It's just that I know now there is no answer to the questions. They're troubling questions for people. And the reason I had those questions was because I couldn't answer the questions myself. So I found out that there are things, if you can't sort something out, maybe it's not possible to sort it out. And then if it is possible for you to sort it out, where do you go? Who are the people to be able to answer the questions? Particularly when you're talking about shape of the earth, then there's nobody with the answers. No one. The only people you can trust, or the only person you can actually trust, is yourself. And you're best off trusting your own ability to gain that knowledge. The best way of doing that is to learn from people, learn from conversation. it feels weird, right? Because I think most of the people that are listening to me and listening to this sort of conversation are of an age. And maybe you feel cheated that you've got to this age and you don't understand stuff. Like Gord's was saying, like you get to a bit and you can free yourself of all of that dogma. And it's like being a kid again. Being able to learn shit for new without that hindrance of all of the dogma that came before. Somehow it's freeing, I think. It was for me. For other people, it might be scary. They might end up hating you. You've got to watch out who you're talking to. This is some mad times that we're in. Crazy times. You're best off getting a grip of your own mind while you can. Seriously. And that's what we're going to be doing. That's what I'm going to be doing anyway. Bringing a bit of light-hearted stuff in, because it's not serious. There's nothing you can do that makes this serious. No, you can't even put a cape on. Can't even make it serious by putting a cape on. Trying to save anything. Has anyone got kids and remember that their kids are doing pen pals or anything like that nowadays? I would consider that one of the things of modern day, although we have technology and all of that, they've actually shut down communication. They've put it down to like a few sentences on a text, and that can be so misinterpreted as aggressive or somebody taking a piss. You never get the true understanding. So communication is broken down. Modern day. Even to the extent of debates. That may be why debates have gone out of the window. How do you have a debate if logic and the new logic has taken away the syllogism? How do you form an argument based on inductive logic?
You can't. All you can do at that point is have an argument, like like a
Shouty
yelling and
argument.
screaming match
Yeah.
at that point. That's all you have left. Or you have to accept what the shadow giants say.
Yeah, it depends
You
how
have to
many
accept-
people you've got in your corner,
Right,
to
right.
support your case.
Mhm.
If you've got the majority, then you might just win.
Right. Right, because there's no reliance upon deductive reasoning whatsoever.
Okay, I'm dropping. Good night.
Night paper.
Good night, paper.
Yeah, I think if you get rid of deductive logic, then you've basically lost all form. But I mean, I can remember people having debates. You know, I can remember watching them. I can remember John Cleese having a debate over atheism with, I don't know, Ken Ham or something. I can't remember. But that wasn't too long ago. So it must have been around. So what's happened just recently, or is it in this arena? Have they
I think
redefined debate within this arena?
Yeah, I think it's this arena, but I also think that the idea of debate is left to the elites, right? I mean, you name two people, John Cleese, very well known actor, and Ken Ham, who is a Christian apologist. So you're in those, you're not talking about like everyday people. So when you're because they don't, like I think I took one in high school. I think there was one debate class when I went to high school, but that was, 1980, early 1980s. I don't know that anyone today, any children today, take debate, but it used to be a thing. Before me, the generation before me, the boomer generation, at least in America here, you had debate class. You had to go up and argue a case, hopefully from logic. It's not done anymore.
Yeah, well, like as I've learned, right? We go over the lost tools of learning, and we find the trivium, and then you find that the actual process of the trivium, there's a coming of age at the end of it, where you have a sort of dissertation where you have to go into a dialectic with your peers, and you have to present your case, and it has to come under scrutiny. You've already put yourself under scrutiny, but you are then put in front of the peers for scrutiny. That's the final end passing. That's what I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do, right? I've learned so much in this few years that what's coming is going to be what I've learned and how I can communicate. And my peers, they're you guys. Not,
Yes.
the actual ones, the ones that have left, have gone. I'm not concerned about them. The only people that I'm bothered about is you guys. And I know you guys will test me, and that will make me improve. So everything I've already done is led us up to here. And it's so obvious now, right, that there is no communicating with people that have a different logic, with no understanding of an ability to be able to communicate. Then what do you have left?
Yeah, you can't, right? You wouldn't even be able to come to terms. So how could you possibly have a debate unless you share a logic? You share some value for the syllogism. You share some understanding of what axioms are, what self-evident truths are, a truth value, requiring a truth value, understanding how a truth value is obtained, the idea of predication, all the things that we've gone through. But again, because the populace, by and large, especially in Western culture, has so degraded, I don't know how many conversations we're going to be able to have. We haven't been able to have very many in this arena.
Well, there are politics and thingy servers now. I don't really want to get into politics, but there's got to be some sort of debates out there for communication, at least for me to learn within communication. I would have a debate or discussion with anybody.
Yeah. But can you have a fruitful discussion, a fruitful conversation?
Well,
that's really the question.
That's what I've learned, I think. I think what the main thing I've learned is to find out very quickly whether you can actually have a conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And where that conversation will go. Obviously, conversations like this that we're having now, amazing. They go places. You can go somewhere, but you very easily see. I've got thousands of hours of conversation where fruitless, going nowhere, going backwards. Indeed, some people might have listened to it and thought that the opponent was the guy that was making sense, which is not good as far as I'm concerned.
No, not at all. And one of the things that we're probably going to have to broach the subject on is, what is a fruitful discussion? What does it mean to have a fruitful discussion? And that's going to have to come out as well, because to me, a fruitful discussion is things that make you go, huh, okay, even if it's only in your head, even if you don't verbally articulate it. Right? You have an honest moment of, oh, I never thought about it that way. That's interesting. That's fruitful.
Yeah, that's what happens all the time in discussions in this Discord channel.
Yes.
All the time. Never ends.
Yeah. How many times does that happen in Geos? How many times does that happen in Gem Pandas? How many times does that happen in the Tartary? I mean, all go
I've
go
never
go to
never
all the
been there,
places.
so I don't know. But there are
Right.
places that I have to go, right? I have to start doing these sort of journeys again to see whether it is worth it or not to talk to people. And then I can just start ticking boxes off. Everybody knows where we are. And if anybody does honestly wants to come in and have this discussion, because I think what we have here is a place, it's the only place that I can have these inspirational moments through conversations. If people have listened to this live streams and everything from this channel and seen that we have an open Discord. People, you know, people can hot mic and all of that, and they do quite often, but there's never anybody over talking. There's never any bad manners. There's never anything bad, and that's because of the people that we have in here.
Yeah, absolutely. James D says, "What do you think of this, Bev?" James D says, "Education is overrated. Period. Statement. Wisdom is greater than knowledge." I would say, well, you tell me what you think about that. I'll tell you what I think.
Not too sure how you get to wisdom without knowledge. So wisdom would be an accumulation of knowledge with an intent, right? And knowing which knowledge to keep and how to fit the pieces together. I don't know. Education. It depends what you think of education.
Right.
Educare, like he said. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, the turning of the head is education. It's like, I don't think modern education is where it's going to be great. This modern education is overrated, definitely, because it's not actually education. They're not turning anybody's heads away from the shadows. They're making, like, look at the shadows. That's it. Look at the shadows and read these words. That's not education in the true sense. That's a changing of the word. And the changing of the mental attitude as well to people, you know, to get people to think that that's admirable, to be able to do that. Sorry, go on. What was your...
No, I was going to say almost exactly the same thing, surprisingly enough. I mean, you and I think very much alike. But Eric also chimes in and says people can have massive amounts of knowledge yet lack wisdom. I don't think that's true. I think the problem is the word knowledge there. I don't think one can actually have real knowledge and not gain some kind of wisdom.
Yeah,
I
you
think the
mean
problem,
recited facts and stuff like
that's
that.
not knowledge.
That, yeah,
That's
that
not knowledge.
I would agree. I would agree. Maybe that's what Eric's talking about, though.
Yeah. Eric, if you're talking about facts and not knowledge, then I agree. But if you're talking about knowledge, no. Knowledge will lead to wisdom.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things when most of the time what I've learned is that when you're talking to people and you ask them what proofs they have, that would be the knowledge, the know part of it, right? Not people don't know very much. Truly know it, right? They've been told lots of things,
right?
But what do they know? I don't know. They're the conversations that you want to have, but it gets a bit tricky, doesn't it? Because if you ask somebody what do they actually know, and they go searching and there's nothing there, that's pretty embarrassing.
Agreed.
To ask somebody that.
Well, even the idea of to know has been changed, bastardized, reduced to something that it's not. So, not to bring up scripture, but it's something I can go to. When the words, the Greek or the Hebrew in biblical scriptures talk about knowing, it's talking about intimate experience. The idea that a man would know his woman, right? Would know his wife. That meant that they had intimate relations, if you know what mean. You can't have knowing without intimately entertaining and having a relationship of sorts with the thing that you're knowing. So this idea of, as you put it, modern education, where people are reciting quote facts, and they're reciting shadow giants, and they're providing citations of this person and that person and the other person. That's not knowing. That's not experience. That's simply regurgitating back something you've heard. It's not knowledge, and that will never lead to wisdom. So, James D, you're saying a wise man isn't a scholar, and a scholar isn't a wise man. If that's what you're saying a scholar is, I'd agree with you. Somebody who just picks up facts, quote facts, unquote, parrots them back, listens to the shadow giants, can recite this paper or this passage from this book or that book. Yeah, that's not going to be a wise man because there's not knowledge there. But real knowledge is led from experience and logic and reason and rhetoric, I would say, and dialectic as well. Being able to have conversations back and forth with people and saying, oh, I didn't really think about it from that perspective. That's really interesting. What do you think about this? Not a lot of that happens today, I find. You certainly can't find it in politics. I mean, you mentioned maybe we need to go visit a political. I don't know. Are they going to have anything? I listen to the American politicians. They damn sure can't debate.
It would be good to see how far, like, since understanding the bacon thing, right? They've lost deductive logic. I'm on a mission now to see how far that's spread.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really do believe that logic has been lost. That it's been a purposeful thing to remove logic. Now, if it's never been replaced within anything, and the closest we've ever got is this inductive bunny ear science, new modern science thing, then it's no wonder we're in the position we're in, where people can just point at you and say, you science denier. It's like, damn
Exactly.
right, I fucking deny that science, right? I've got deductive logic as my framework. Why should I take that as being greater? There's no way it's greater. It's
I have
ridiculous.
a proof in reality.
Yeah.
I have a proof in reality. Why do I need that other thing that's worthless?
Yeah, where you say there is no proof. It's like, no, I actually have a firm understanding of proof, and I have epoche. I know what I can't know. Don't tell me to release my proof, to have a no proof sort of possibility of the things that I know I cannot know. It's so ridiculous when you see it for what it is.
It is. I like what Lamel says in here. He says, knowledge would lead to understanding when it's freed from contradiction. Wisdom is the experience. Yeah, I'd agree with much of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, rooting out the contradictions is what logic is there for. And the syllogism will help you find those contradictions. If you remove deductive logic from the experience, then how do you find the contradictions? Because they become very apparent, don't they, within deductive logic?
Yes.
That's where you find the contradictions. So, yeah, certain way, that's maybe why people are holding these contradictions. I mean, we know it's necessary for people to hold contradictions, and cogdis has been, let's say, invented so you can solve cogdis, right? Not by resolving the issues, but just by helping people to continue to hold these two opposing ideas.
Just going right back around to George. It's exactly what we saw in real time in that video.
Oh, that was the finishing off of George. I'm pretty sure. You know, not wanting to speak ill of the dead, but Blue Marble should have helped him out more. That literally was the last time we ever saw George, and he went downhill from there on in. Sadly.
Yeah, I think didn't Khan die shortly after that? It was pretty close after that.
We knew Khan was on his way out, and
Yep.
I said to everybody, what would George do without Khan? You know, where would George be without Khan? He's got to be sort of struggling with him, and we could see that George's mind had been going, because he was making mistakes that he shouldn't have made, and then getting agitated about them, not seeing them, and when he did see them, he wouldn't, you know, it wasn't right. There was something not right, and I'm surprised that whoever told George to come here to do these sort of things. Pretty sure that they helped George's nut-sacking. Did give us the nut-sacking though, right? We definitely, that means something. I can give a cause to certain things now, where the model dictates reality. I would never have believed that to be a true thing in the past. That somebody could literally ignore reality for a model that they've built up. Some models are that strong, right?
I was just gonna say, some models are that strong. They have that kind of hold on the mind.
Yeah.
Not
It's a
here though.
shame.
So if it is a shame. If you want a little different conversation, a little different thinking, come on over here. If you want to talk about shape of the year stuff, there's lots of other places for that. We won't deny you that. You go have your fun. Put the red cape on or the blue cape on, or whichever you prefer.
Yeah.
Blue would be for the globe though, right? It'd have to be blue marble cape.
I'd say over these next few weeks, months, years, my goals are going to be changing. They're shifting. So the new projects that I'm coming up with, I mean, it takes me ages to get around to doing these sort of things, but I am going to, what I've been doing since we've got a few people here, thank you very much for staying. And if any of you are Patreons or whatever, you've been donating whatever for the past, I've never took any of that money out. That money's there waiting for this month coming up. I'm going to open up the new start to this. So the new projects that will be started, and the ones that have already been started, Imaginometry, Globgic, the Realizing Euclid tests, all of the videos for the Buster music. Buster's got an album ready and waiting there. It just needs putting together, making stuff. We've got the computer games in the Discord. All of these projects that are going to be starting up, it's going to be worth coming in here. If you're still part of this and you still want to be part of it, then thank you very much and come on in. Now's the best time to do it. We've rid the trolls. There's no trolls left.
Mm-mm. And
No
we
one
have
to
what?
annoy.
We're done. It's April coming up this weekend. So tomorrow's it, right? Free for all Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have it's like we do a full loop. Literally a full loop.
It's going to come right back around, right? All the way back. Kind of following Bev's journey along. We'll run into one of his best mates, so to speak.
A couple of them.
Yeah. Tomorrow, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
The question for tomorrow is, let's see, how would we phrase this? The question for tomorrow will be whether or not you should be gaining from someone else's suffering. Let's say that.
Mm,
Let's put it that way.
yes.
Should be interesting time tomorrow. Free for all Friday.
Yeah, Buster album. We just got to convince Buster to do it.
Buster, we've already got your album ready to sell. It's ready to go on
Yeah.
Spotify, iTunes, whatever else. You just need to put it out, man. We're all ready for it.
And yeah, there's a couple of I really enjoyed doing all of the Buster cuts and mixes.
Oh, look at that! Look, it just popped in. So glad there are no more trolls here. Well done, says Wally. Well, we were troll free until Wally came by. That's good to see you, Wally.
Well, since all of Wally's support's left, hasn't he? Darren left us this morning,
Yeah.
Wally.
Yep. Yeah, we lost him too soon.
After calling Emma a witch. He decided he best get out really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anybody feels like saying that the 13 people that are watching, I know that the 13 people that are watching are the proper 13 people. So thank you very much. Real people. Well, obviously one of them's Wally. He can't keep away.
Some trolls we may never be rid of, but by and large, we've done well, I think.
Yeah. Well, all of this stuff in the past, all of the videos that we've done and all of that has only really been to let people know how wrong everybody is about us, that they could have talked to us. Now, the conversations that I've had have been with the people that came here for those conversations. They're not the conversations that I wanted to have necessarily. They're the people that wanted to come here and have conversations with me. They don't want to do that anymore, which is good for me. But I'm going to have to go out now and find the actual conversations. Once I've learned that, Jesse Kozlowski did a Jesse Kozlowski. He couldn't answer the questions. He went running. Now, there are people that can be asked these questions. Just because Jesse Kozlowski did a Jesse Kozlowski, and the guy that probably doesn't live in Maine did a Jesse Kozlowski, and George did a George. He gave us the nutsack, and then, God rest his soul, departed. But there are people that will be able to be asked these questions. Now, I know we've got loads of them. Personally, I've got, well, it's limitless. Because once you know how reality is, that anything that deviates from reality is going to be a question that you can ask people about. And if all you're doing is asking questions, then are questions offensive? I know a lot of people do consider them that. We've had quite a lot of the snowflakes just recently. They do get offended at questions, but should they? Should people get offended at questions? Are there some questions that you shouldn't ask? I would say the best questions are the ones that are cut right to the bone. The ones that get to the heart of it. I think that it's definitely worth expanding on Globgic and Imaginometry, because they are a result of a certain way of thinking. The thinking about the not that. And you can obviously see that. As evident as good and evil, right? You may not know what good is, but you can definitely see evil. People can see that, surely. I don't think there could be anybody that could go around and say, I see no evil. I see no bad in the world. So as you can see that, you can definitely see the not that. Right? Who's lost sight of the that? Who can't see the that for the not that? I know someone. While he's talking about his rockets again. It's very interesting, Wally.
I think it's a metaphor.
Yeah, I do as well.
All right.
I think he can't get it off his mind.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm going to be done with, maybe entertaining, but it doesn't get you anywhere. There's no progress. Wally doesn't even know what a stolen concept is yet. And he's been using it for years.
He'll never know. Too blinded, ECV.
I think I'm going to do a video on the reciprocal zenith angles, geometric.
Right, I have got to go.
Okie dokie. What time is it?
Good show today.
11. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it early tonight.
Right.
Thursday. Thank you very much for joining us. So remember that double rodding, differential leveling, in reality is a problem for certain people. Certain people that can't talk about reality. Let me get a Buster song ready. Anybody got any? Quite like the Brenda. That was a good one, wasn't it, Brenda?
Yeah, it was good.
I don't know. I don't even know what this one is. So thank you very much. Join us tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be fucking hilarious. Probably something that you don't know about, but you should know about it. These are the sort of things that you should know about within communities. So come and join us tomorrow, Free for All Friday. Last show of the old school try thinking, the new emergence of the spring try thinking coming in April. So yeah,
winter is over, spring is here.
Yeah. And thank you very much for joining us. Join us tomorrow. As you know, surveying, especially elevation checks and all of that, is based solely on horizontals being parallel.
There we go.
Right? Well, that isn't a curve. Right? That isn't what they do. They measure a drop in the vertical, don't they? When you're doing surveying on your measuring rods.
Hang on here. Let me think about this.
Yeah, you do.
If it's a change in the vertical, then what do you call that when you're measuring, when you're doing your surveying?
Hang on here. Let me think about this a minute.
Change in elevation.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Hang on here. Let me think about this a minute.
Oh, yeah. So drop would be a drop any direction you go. Earth is always dropping away from you.
So the water, you think the water level drops away from you?
There we go. Yeah, I know it. I've not seen a drawing from LIGO.
The nutsack thing is related to
either arm, an X or a Y.
Let's say 400 meters. How accurate could you be at setting a horizontal?
It is designed to be 33.1 arc seconds
from top to bottom at that distance.
Wait a minute. The elevation from the water level is always going to be the same.
They'll all intersect. Those three lines will intersect in the middle.
There we go.
Oh shit, Grumpus went to bed a long time ago.
A nutsack drop is a pretty good demonstration of the globe.
There we go.
Just hang on here, let me think about this.
Go on.
Water level.
Yeah. The water level is the most level.
The water level will show you level. You'll take your auto level then to the center of this array of of level points that you've established. Set it at the center and then shoot both ends. You'll find out that they're dropping.
What, both ends of the water level lower
There we go.
than the middle?
We got a hump.
You've got a hump.
Absolutely.
It's a hump.
Hang on here, let me think about this.
Got a home base.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. God, I'm getting tired, Bev. Back up. That was wrong. That was something else I was thinking about.
33.1 arc seconds.
1 arc second, which at 400 meters would be in a vertical height of 12.6 millimeters. Buster. Hang on here, let me think about this.
What do you call a change in vertical in surveying?
Hang on here, let me think about this.
You know, like if there's a vertical distance change, what's that called?
Hang on here, let me think about this.
It's elevation and it's
so
measured
so
from
you've
sea
just
level.
said, yeah, you've just said that the
And all
water
of them?
level changes in elevation
There we go.
from the point you're
the water
at.
level does. Yes, the water level will. Absolutely.
So it's
wait,
not
wait.
establishing a level.
Wait a
minute.
minute.
I think you might have got. Whoa. Yeah.
Hold on.
Go on.
There we go. Hold on.
Take a mulligan on that one. Let's try again.
Don't overtalk.
Hang on here,
Don't
let me think
overtalk.
about
Don't
this.
penalty.
Yeah, at 400 meters, the Earth curve is about 12.6 millimeters, so you're going to have to add that in.
Oh, yeah.
Add it into a horizontal. Where do you add it in?
Yeah, that's what I feel like a lot of times, Buster.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've just said that the
And all of
water
them?
level changes in
Hang on, let me
elevation
think about
from the point
The
you're
water
at.
level does. Yes, the water level will. Absolutely.
No reason, no logic, no wisdom, no worries.
Yes, the water level will. Absolutely.
You're just on your own.
There we go. Oh,
No
yeah.
reason, no logic, no answers to question.
Hang on here, let me think about this.
You're just on your own.
Just so that, you don't lose me here. Let's say we have A, NA, and NP on your water level. Where are you going to put your auto level?
Oh, yeah.
What? I'm not putting the auto level anywhere. Now those
For what?
horizontals-
Okay, wait, back up. Back up. Back up. No, wait, back up. Back up. No, wait, please. But on the curved Earth, what you just described is what we would see. We would have 3 different horizontals